I was just I was wondering where we were, or trying to understand the situation. Hold on one second here. Um,
That's cool, mate.
I think we might be live right now, but give me a second here. And
Okay.
then now, but that doesn't help you, I think, see me. Um, I think what
I can
I
just see a big brown D.
if you like, do you have a way to watch the YouTube video itself, or no? Or would that be too confusing because
No,
there's a little delay?
and that would be there's almost 10 seconds delay,
Yeah.
mate. Not, but don't worry. I don't worry about that. I can look at not look at your face.
Yeah.
I kind of know what your face looks like, and
Okay.
I like having the face
Yeah,
because
I do too.
the face is such an important part of our sincerity. And yeah, I think it's true that actually, um, we are, even though we're flat earthers, and I actually have been supported wonderfully by some people over the last year and a half. I can't express that enough, man. I would not have, I would have sunk a long time ago were it not for the generosity of a few dozen people who have stepped in and gone, hey, we can give you something.
Yeah, man.
Either maybe some accommodation, some money, and a whole bunch more with some verbal support. That has been amazing. Um, but it's a curious thing because we are much more than these material beings, and we haven't really learned that yet. And I think we're still so caught up in the material aspects or elements of our life here that we don't really come. I mean, when you come together, this is interesting. When you come together with flat earthers, it's not like if we've all realized this divine kind of, wow, we're these divine sparks, and I'm just as responsible for this as anybody else. But if we are that, then actually we should come together in love and in hugging and in wow, embracing. Because do you know who we are? We are the light. We are of the Most High. We are God's whatever. We are God. Expressed as me and you, having our universe, our you and I verse, having a few verses together, you and I. And I think that's what's going on here. But we are so caught up in the like, yeah, I'm this and I'm that and I'm black and you're white and whatever and you believe this part of it and you think that Jesus this or Muhammad that or um, meat this or vegetables that. It's just there we are so far still, I think, from this kind of thing, and you go even to like a, all a, hippie thing and what have you, and you still don't necessarily feel like that these people are on a Monday morning going to hug you like you are their brother in God and their equal. So,
And then they're not,
we've got to,
and then they're not there, and then they're not right because we're live now, real quick, just so you know. Um,
okay.
and so going back to that, circling back, so we were chatting about Flat Earth Fokker, right, and Mac.
Yeah.
So like you know, and you were talking about the street activism where it becomes feels like it's entertainment for some
Mm,
people, for a lot of people, which it is, right? I watch stuff for entertainment now because we have nothing else. What do we have in common?
yeah.
When I go out and did the
Mm,
street activism, I was out there on Saturday morning, whatever, yesterday. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Well done.
and I met a family of five flat earthers, and
I
I
saw
met
that.
a woman and her mom who were flat earthers, and it was like it gives you a moment of like refuge, you know what I mean, away
Yeah.
from. So you know what I mean, dude. Like we like. So what if we're flat
Yeah,
earth?
I
If
found that exciting, by the way. I found that exciting. I really did when I saw that family come there. Of course, it's flat.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
but that's
No, that
so
was exciting.
few
And
and far between, dude. I mean, come on,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah. And but this is the interesting thing is like with Mac, Flat Earth Fokker, and other people like yourself, where you've been pounding and what's his name? Um,
A lot of
uh,
people.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Authentic
I was thinking about
intent. Who else?
yeah, I was thinking about Josh. I was
Josh.
thinking about Josh. where you've been pounding the same beat for a long time, and you don't have like 50 people by now coming up to you going, "Hey,
Yeah.
I saw it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much." I've had that happen to me, but it's so infrequent. But with you guys, you've hit that same patch for a long time. I'd be like, "Yeah, you should have a crowd there by now. People come down, dang, brother, you the man. You liberated my mind."
Or how about this? Well, I don't think that's happening that frequently, honestly.
No.
I think what I would like to see, or what I would have been nice, is over even in my area here now in Sarasota. I've probably met like 15 to 20 flat Earth people at that farmers market over the time, and I'm
Mm,
always like, I'm here, man. On Saturdays, I'll come out, join me. But but that's just not their thing. But like in my mind, I'm like, wow, how powerful would it be if there was 25 people at the farmers market rather than
mm,
schmucko Dave? Like
yes,
it pisses
yes,
me off because
yes,
if we had the 25 people in my area and you, Dave, you know what I mean, you were out there and you had 25, and each time we grew and we're out there, and even if we did it once a month and have like, but
mm,
it never happens, man. And I do the flat earth people finder. I post the event, and the thing is though, I'm not even working, and you've kind of like pushed that shit aside and are suffering for it. But and maybe that's probably the people who don't do that probably are busy freaking with their family and in the system still. No, maybe.
yes, yes, yes. I've had someone because I mean, my journey has been so, let's say, white knuckle ride for the last few years that but because but I've also ended up in some beautiful places in a few different countries now, and someone has said to me the other way on a chat, like, "Yeah, well, I'm still here at home slogging away doing the 9 to 5, kids to school, and having to navigate all of the insanity of all of you know the old nappy scenario, that face nappy scenario we got going down." So I think that actually, if I can say, I think that actually this time is designed to bring people to a state of um, dissonance, a state of upset or whatever. I know people can hide in their little Pleasantville and whatever you, and imagine that the world is just going to right itself if they stab themselves in the arm enough times. But I think that there's something magical about what's going on, and it may be that we ran out of time to convince people that the Earth is flat, and it may be that we ran out of time to convince people that the stabbing of the arm thing is a very bad idea.
Dave, we didn't run
But
out of time, man. That's the thing, though. We haven't. It's that there is a group of people. I don't. I hate to say it, though. I think there maybe a large group of people who I don't think they're ever going to get it, man. I don't think they're gonna get. I mean, come on,
no,
dude. Look, I was just
no.
having. Who was I having this conversation with yesterday? I'm forgetting who, but he. Oh, I know, Mark, the one guy. He's from uh, the Dutch guy that I was hanging out with, and
Okay, yeah, yeah,
with
yeah,
the blue shirt yesterday, and I was hanging out with a guy, and he was like, he was telling, he was like, we were arguing back and forth about it, and whether or not, people are actually ever going to, wake up to the whole the scam. And some people, like Matt calls them NPCs. I hate calling people NPCs, man. I think that's just so hopeless sounding. I feel like I was an NPC like for most of my life. So to say that they're not going to ever wake up is crazy to me. I don't know. Um,
yeah. But well, I mean, I've tried to zoom out of whether or not they must. I'd love them to, if that's how it works, but I'm not sure that they must or they have to, or it's an essential part of this. I think though that one of the bigger, new world order agendas is, or continues to be, is to kind of hate the human. You hate overpopulation. Your cows fart too much and they create ozone, and you burn too many trees and you are the scourge, you're a cancer on the earth, and all this sort of shit. This is what I think, you hear a lot of, and I think so. Where I tread cautiously on the NPC conversation is that you know if you were a football star in America, and you were like the quarterback or whatever, you were the guy to make the big play and stuff. That's awesome, but you shouldn't be like disrespecting the dude in the stadium, who's got the discount seats. Everybody's kind of got a place in the stadium, in the stage, in the theater, in our dome, inside of our bubble. Everybody's got a place, and so I think that if you start writing people off like, oh, look, they're just they breed too many children, or they breathe too much, or in this case that they haven't got something that lets them see, or has enabled them to see, or has disabled them from seeing and hearing, and so on. Ours is to love them, Dave. That's the thing. Forgive them, for they know not. That thing, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yep.
you know,
Including
it's.
police.
I think that's where, yeah, because that's where, like, I was trying to encourage you last year. I think because for me, my journey from being angry and wanting to berate, has been one of, I've dragged my knuckles and knees through all of this.
Yeah.
And I realized that actually the way that I get the best traction, and the way that I kind of keep myself in the most balanced and neutralized way, is to not take them on as like the enemy, the state operatives. I mean, and it's easy for me to say that now, but when I've got them right on my doorstep at 1 o'clock in the morning, as I did have in February of this year,
Yeah.
demanding to see my child,
Yeah.
it is hard to kind of keep your cool. But I did actually, and I think that I handled it really well. But the point, I guess, that I'm trying to make is that we if we write people off as NPCs, even though that's their role, that's they're not meant to. Only one dude carries the ball over the line. So it doesn't have to be everybody gets it. And I think that if it's like a spiritual thing, and there's a spiritual arising, awakening, uplifting to come, then again, it takes a few lights over time to start illuminating the space, because gosh almighty, it's been quite a journey to go from being just a consumer on the sofa to somebody who's really getting in touch with our sort of connection to the higher source, and our connection to who we are. And I don't need to beat this government, this corrupt, whatever it is, this what strange entity that seems to run everything. I don't need to beat that. What I need to do is to become my best version of myself, to raise my light such that I can be a light to those around me and give from the overflow of my own cup. Did I lose you?
No, no, I'm sorry. I was just listening. I hear you. That's yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
well,
think I was like yeah. I was behind you for sure because I went through the whole. But I wonder, man, because I'm like now on the source. Like, hey, we don't beat the beast system. We're not going to win. It's pretty clear in the Bible that we're not going to be able to get this done ourselves. And I've bought into that, right? But then I still have you watch that movie Ants. I don't know. You've seen the movie Ants. I'm sure you've
yeah,
seen the right and where the leaders are conspiring and they're like, if they ever figure out that they outnumber us, they're gonna. It's over in that moment. And it's like that. I feel like that's so true. You know what I mean? So
I completely agree with you, my friend. I completely agree with you. However, this is the very, very important thing. Okay, like I use the analogy of 10 dogs in a cage. You got 10 puppies in a cage, and you put in 3 puppies worth of food every day. What's going to happen to those dogs as they grow older? They're going to be pretty vicious. There's going to be a hierarchy. Some are going to be super dominant, angry. Others are going to be super like timid and beaten. And that's where humanity is that we are in all of these different states of distress and trauma from being for centuries now mistreated by the owners, as it were, the handlers. And so generations down the line, you can't immediately put all of those dogs back into the wild, or put them into a situation with children or whatever where they're going to be a sure bet. No, I think that humanity needs to teach itself to be the higher self. You can't just say, okay, well, you've turned us into like these capitalist consumers, greedy, envious, all these sorts of things. Some are thugs, some are, if you took away the police overnight, there'd be thugs on the street going, right then, I'm going to take advantage of this and I'm going to take what I can, right? Because we are so far from the loving, we are so traumatized. Yeah, we saw it in South Africa just 2 weeks ago, where there was a green light given to a whole faction of, let's say, extremist, more left-wingy type, whatever. It doesn't matter, But they, there was rioting in South Africa here, and I saw a whole lot of looting going down around us. And this is people that are traumatized, and for various reasons. I won't go into all the history. And people
Traumatized
know
though.
that
How many
already,
of
but
them are just brainwashed, man? But right? I mean, I hear you were traumatized, but in a lot of ways, most people's lives are pretty freaking easy at this point. No?
my friend, you will have heard of MK Ultra, of course.
Yeah.
That's trauma-based mind control.
Yeah.
And they tell us that they dismantled the MK Ultra program in the 1970s when when it came to light, but they really didn't. You know that.
But no,
So
I
the trauma.
wonder. But I wonder sometimes, like, so why is MK Ultra so well known? Like, do they want us to know that and think that? You know what I mean? Like, is that just a freaking reverse psyop? Sometimes I think, like, you know what I mean. Everything else
Okay,
is
so let me.
that we bring
Yeah,
up is
yeah,
right
yeah,
is
yeah,
fought. They
yeah,
fight us on
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
but they feed us MK Ultra. Oh yeah, they agree with us. That works. We can do this.
Okay. Well, I don't. I see. I mean, it may not even be MK in name, but just to kind of give it so people know what we're talking about, because I don't need to hypothesize or
Yeah.
be a conspiracy theorist to assert that we are traumatized from day one. You are, when you were born, and all of us have been since the 1950s. You are stabbed in the foot, right into your vagus nerve. Sorry, right into your sciatic nerve in the foot. They do a heel prick test on every newborn child,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and that is the first. Yeah, that's the first trauma that is applied to a child. Then, when you're 8 days old, if you're Catholic or Jewish, you get your foreskin chopped off. That's a massive physical trauma. And so, for the reason that these establishments do such wounding, I believe, is to destabilize you at the very earliest of age. And now we know from the chakras, the body chakra system, Dave, that in your lower chakra you have your root chakra, which is associated to your stability, your centeredness, your balance on earth, your kind of like your groundedness, all of that comes from your root. So if I can shove a needle into your foot at the moment you come out of your mother's womb, and that goes right up into your groin because the sciatic nerve runs right up into the groin, I can immediately begin to unseat the soul of you, or the base of you, because I did a little video on this a few months ago when I had a little downtime, and I found that the tiniest bone at the end of the coccyx exactly looks like the Baphomet. And so I established that I think that the Baphomet is, they're talking about your lowest self, and why they try and tweak you into to your lower self being in a state of fight or flight from the youngest age, is that they can then use that through the schooling system, army or military, the university and schooling system, to get you to compete and become someone who's in a state of constant fight or flight. And with that, I can, because fear is the best way to control someone's mind. So with some sort of fear programming, I mean, look what they did to the American children in the 1950s with the atom bomb scare. Like, oh, you get under your desk every week. Let's just remind you how at risk you are. What that fear
Yeah.
means that as you grow up, you go, "Thank you, Daddy, government, for taking care of me
Yeah.
and protecting me from that nasty Fidel Castro." And then you're more likely to kind of vote as an older because that'll be implanted in your mind that government saved you. And the same in the UK in 1940s 50s. People were like so grateful to the government that saved them from the nasty Nazis. And of course we know that all of these things have been bit of a theater, sort of put together, constructed in various ways. But it's the fear program, and we see it now in 2020 with the beer disease. You got fear, 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 and that's the best way to get mamas to stifle their child's breath is just through like fear, fear, fear.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all trauma based and fear based mind control. And I contend, Dave, that we have, all of us, because remember, the people who run the game, they've been doing it to us for a long time. So they know that from the day you were born, they want to try and interfere with your electromagnetic signature. So as to, well, we could speculate as to why, but so to maintain, at the very least, to maintain control over you and control over your mind, which is where all of us were once we believed we lived on some kind of spinning globule of rock in the middle of a time space blanket called space. So there you go, my friend. I do think that it's trauma based. I think we're under some kind of trauma based spell. It is a psychopathic system that gets people to compete, answer the questions right, put your hand up in class, be the best at this and that and so on, and be the achiever. And we set ourselves up with these materialistic goals of this is what it is to be a champion in the world, and to be the best kind of woman. Mothers don't want to be women anymore. Women don't want to be mothers anymore. And men have lost their way in terms of their divinity. Men are far more inclined to pick up a weapon. Like how many boys today are playing Call of Duty, and this is shaping their idea of what reality is, that a good man is a guy who's able to take out 15 terrorists, in an afternoon and go back and, satisfy his wife. So probably doesn't even need a wife now because he can do it all online. But yeah, so for me, I do have some despair at what's going on, but I'm also quite optimistic that if people can uh, begin to be the light, change the way that they be, that they live their lives, and commune with their fellow brethren, then we will maybe find ourselves eventually in a humanity that can handle itself rather than saying, "Oh well, yeah, just take it down the gates and the dogs will be fine." And that's not going to happen, my friend. We have to. I've seen this for myself. I've met flat earthers who themselves, just like me, are on a journey of self-discovery, and but have yet to make some of the big sacrifices and make the walk that we're meant to walk. Because you can't just let these rabid dogs out of the cage and expect them not to, hurt themselves and hurt the neighborhood.
Well, that's the good point because that's why, like, we right in this world, we do, I think, need a government because the people, they're because of the way we have rejected, uh, we've rejected God, the laws that are written in our hearts. Th- that's been rejected.
Mm,
So,
mm,
and so that's what I've come to believe. But now, then the question is, with all that said, it's like so. I don't know. I used to be like, oh, we need to. I was thinking we can, we're gonna rally people together. I was doing all that crazy stuff,
yeah,
thinking that we were gonna,
yeah.
right? We're gonna build up an army and then we're gonna fight them back. But that is like somebody. What's the woman? The woman who on 9/11. She who I don't think it's not, definitely not Sophia. Sophia. It's the other woman.
So,
There's another one, but she was like, so even if you did beat the government, right? you're going to end up with, I think, the same problem, man. You're going to have new people take over the vacuum and eventually fall to the lure of the power that they would
Well,
then
that's
inherit.
yeah. Well, that's what's going to happen anyway. Is that people are going to over the next 12 months probably really rise up, really get given enough information, and there's so much of it out there. You have to be really blind not to have seen it. But there's so much information out there that flies in the face of all the restrictions that are going on in the world. There's so little evidence. There's almost no evidence whatsoever that supports any of the actions that there's been taken over the last year or two. So eventually, there's going to be a bit of the lights are going to switch on for a lot more people, and they're going to go, what the hell? Because the first reaction is to do like you did and we did, is to go out and
Yep.
go, why, this is insane. Why, you got to change, you got to change. And when you do that in that vein, you will be given an alternative, I think, who or who is the antidote to the insanity, you see. And so it'll come through. Oh, now we've finally got someone. It might be like Kimberly Foster, not or whatever that, Foster and Gamble, those people. They've got that Thrive organization, for example, with the one eye logo and all that. There'll be some credible, like, superhero kind of thing. Well, maybe it'll be Elon Skunk Musk, who will be like, put fated as, but this, he said all along, like, we could do this, we could, and then and people will be given someone else, but it'll be this controlled. We think it'll be a feminine, because we're moving into a feminine age, aren't we, Aquarius? And so we think we'll be given a feminine solution, and people will buy it. They'll be like, finally, a woman. Finally. It wasn't obviously not going to be Hillary, but it'll be maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. I could speculate about Camel Toe Harris, but I think that there's going to be a solution given to people who will then go back home and go back to work, and will then be satisfied that democracy has now, run its course and done the right thing, and put the right, got rid of those bad guys and got the new guys in, the new people in. Either that, or we finally stepped to the, oh, governments have all failed, the financials have failed. We're going to have a one world UN led system, with local kind of, but constabulary and so on. So, and then people will have been satisfied that there has been sufficient change. There's been a accountability, like there wasn't for weapons of mass destruction in 45 minutes and all of that. And you'll know, with all the other hoaxes that you like to talk about, that there isn't accountability really. There's never accountability, not where it's meant to be. Maybe a few show trials and a couple of puppets, get a couple of years in a fairly cushy situation, So yeah, we won't get that, but the masses will be appeased. The masses will be appeased, and it'll be like there would have been people in 1940, 1936 going, shit, stop doing what we're doing. We're running headlong into war with Germany and so on. And in America, of course, there would have been a lot of people in the late 30s, yeah, and I think when your president said, no, I won't take you to war, don't worry, I won't take you to war. And of course, the next dude takes them to war, so, um,
Dude, I
I don't,
I
sorry,
I think that all that though, dude, it's like, you know what? It is what it is. Right now, we're, I like who like whatever takes place is going to take place, right? I I don't have any
correct.
I don't have any control over it. And so I was like, for me, I think, I do think when the people who are still making videos, a lot of people have moved over to Rock, people are going over to Rockfin. Are you on Rockfin? You're on there?
I I think so. I think Andrea said, yeah, I think I am now. I might be,
Okay.
might not be,
Because
but I will be soon,
I just
because
got
I
the
hear.
app yesterday, and I was listening to Jeranism, and he was talking about it. It's like $10 a month or something, and he's like, and it was funny because he was mocking all the people who basically are like, $10 a month, I gotta charge, da 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 da. Meanwhile, like everybody, people will spend $10 on three Red Bulls without thinking about it. So and I'm kind of the same way though. Like I guess people just get feel skeptical of the whole money thing. But I was thinking that might be a decent place. You're on Odyssey, I imagine, right?
No, I haven't actually been very
Or a lot. Oh
proactive.
no,
I'm
okay.
only I'm really only on here, but I know that we do need to go like decentralize, and
I
YouTube
don't.
is
And it's a little scary too because it feels like they're trying to push us away from YouTube, right? Where we have
yeah.
some ability to sometimes people will stumble across us. Whereas if you go over to Rockfin, your average dude will never know what Rockfin is, right? It's like going to be like a little mini truther little station where everyone will be like, you know,
Yeah,
hoarded
that's a
together.
good point. That's a good point, Dave. I've been thinking about that myself. Every time there's a new one comes up, and people go off and do that, and they're kind of like diluting the water, aren't they? In a way. And I've never had much time, and the tech to be too involved in all of this. The only social media I have is this, and YouTube, and I've tried to keep it like to a minimum. I think that if it's going to be more than that, then it'll be more than that in the fullness of time. I've tried not to spank it too hard. I think that that God has a plan. Um, I'd like to think that, because it has been an insanely uncomfortable, bumpy ride to get to this point. But I'm grateful that I have a few weeks respite. I've had a few weeks respite on this farm in South Africa, and I was really hoping to get like I was. I still think that there's people can be reached, and that there is, when the shift comes, there will be people who need to be supported to move from one state to another. And I don't mean that like an American state. I just mean
Yeah, mental.
this
Dude,
insane.
dude,
Yeah.
people are 100% people are. I have read comments in recent videos where people are like, I just learned the earth is flat last year, 9 months ago, you know, within,
Mm,
yeah. So, yeah, you know what I mean? It's
mm.
still happening each and every day, dude.
Absolutely, but I mean, for me, Dave, your listeners may not have heard me say this much or at all ever, but for me, the flat Earth is like the chessboard. We used to think we played our chess on an oblate spheroid, but now we know that the board is flat. We have to re-examine every piece of the board. We need to restudy, reappraise every piece, because it's now got to be played on this flat board, and it means that everything has to be reviewed. And I think what was flat Earth is so incredible. It's so immense. It's so tantalizing. You can't help but get passionately, like, you want to bang it on people's heads, you want to live it, and so on. And for me, like, after a few years, 15, 16, 17, I was ready to kind of like, what else, where's the spiritual, what else is, what else does this mean, for me, and humanity, and the greater humanity, and so on. And I do think that God has got this, thing. Whatever's going on is it's all fine. It's not a problem. I was told that on the DMT. But is it the best advice to say, okay, all we're going to do is be, flat Earth kind of, proponents? For me, I feel like I need to. I get my best traction on the street when I go into the divine. When I start talking about, hey, I mean, Earth is flat, but but it also means that you are the center of creation. And do you know what that really means? Do you know what that means? And that for me is really what it's about, Dave, my friend, because it's yes, we've been lied to about everything. Yes, you could pull apart almost every element of our history, our science, so much of it, theology, is tainted, and and doesn't is designed to prevent us from ever knowing about these things. And yes, that the earth is flat, but principally who you are, what you are, your connection to Most High, as the Most High as emissary, or God itself. As I say sometimes to people, and I hope it doesn't sound too crass, but that if God had this idea of creating this incredible place to come in, which it is an incredible and most beautiful and exquisitely built habitat, to build this place in order to come and experience the senses of life, and it seems to me that because we live in this inverted system, which life is, well, live is evil backwards, right? And it just wants anything but for us to live. It wants to put us under house arrest. It wants to stop us from enjoying certain kinds of food, certain kinds of pleasures, and so on. Oh, don't do that because you're just going to be a glutton. Don't do that because you're just going to be envious and whatever, fornicating and all these sorts of things. And the truth is that if we are God, then we should be given our own free will to express ourselves in that do no harm way, and go out and enjoy this incredible experience. And for me, squabbling with the government about whether we should have less taxes or more freedoms and so on is like, what's the point in that? I mean, they have no idea, these poor ignorant or nescient, saps, as it says in Matthew 24:24, even amongst the elect will be deceived at the end of times. And I think that these poor elect are so deceived, and they happily wear their nappies on their faces. And I'm like, I'm not. That's not what's going to serve us, my friend. We are only going to be served if we start moving in this higher way, start living in this higher way, understanding in this higher way the truth of who we really are. And that's where it kind of gets to for me. And that's why I think that flat earth, if the flat earth had any kind of controlled element in it, there are some numbers I'd like to discuss, but if it had any control element, it would simply be to make it into a bazaar, and to make it into a thing that people would just bang flat earth for the rest of your days. And I respect anybody's decision to do that, but I would encourage them to go, hey man, but what does it mean for me? And who am I? And
Well, I think that
what is the
happens
deal?
automatically, dude. That happens automatically for most people. It's and whether it happens fast or slow, probably is just how much who knows why, because I can see it, man. You can when there's it's like stages that we're gonna go through. You learn the Earth is flat, then then you're gonna. I mean, you probably already learned some other lies before that, right? To get to the point where you're. Somebody actually said to
Yeah,
me, like, why are you going out on the street hitting people with flat Earth with such as it's like, what are the odds of getting them, to even talk to you? When like I literally was thinking, I agree with them at some level. Like, why don't I? That's why I have so many freaking stupid banners. But I was thinking maybe I should actually, maybe even consider doing the all caps on our license plate and going that way, because it's like something very tangible that you can pick out your license plate, your driver's license, and you'll see that your name is on all caps and it's right there in front of you. And but I don't think it matters really in a way what truth you're bringing, because I in my like when I go out there I'm always um like most of the conversations are a waste of time, dude. Or at least they're mostly, I might be planting a seed, and for me, that seed is on the sidewalk somewhere. It's on rocks.
do
It
you,
ain't being planted in the ground for most people.
yeah, no, and that I reckon you've done it amazing, and there are some other amazing people who've done wonderful things in trying to get truth out. And I mean, it could be 5G, I suppose. It could be other things, but obviously, truth,
Yeah.
the flat is such a
9/11,
foundational.
9/11.
Yeah,
But
but
it doesn't matter. It
I mean,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
It doesn't matter, I don't think.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. So,
Does
well,
it?
yeah, okay. No, but do you have a wife? Are you with a woman?
No,
Or
no, no. I'm screwed, man.
I ask you that because when I hang out with my
Or
my
maybe I'm
flat Earth
actually good.
friends,
Good.
when
Yeah.
I hang out with my when I hang out with my flat Earth friends who don't have women, or whose women haven't necessarily been like party to their journey,
Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
then we tend to be very left-brained, and we come at this whole thing from a very warrior, masculine, rah rah, let's get out there and fight the fucking thing and get them out, you know what I mean, like banner the hell out of them. And that's all good and well, but we've come at it from the sort of damaged masculine perspective, and we haven't had the woman or the divine feminine kind of input. And for me, what happened for me was like, for the longest time, I was left braining this all by myself. And then when Andrea kind of jumped on board in 2017, she started, like, she saw it. She then started bringing me like a different thing, and she really pushed me to move on my research beyond flat Earth, so that it was like I
What would
started
you do if
really looking.
Andrea wasn't with Flat Earth? Like, what would you do, man?
Wow. Well, I
Holy
mean,
crap, right?
like, I think, yeah. Well, we wouldn't be talking, I suppose. I mean, I had to give her kind of permission, if you like, to go on the Globe Light tour. That was touch and go. And I didn't. That wasn't for sure until like a few days or maybe 2 weeks, possibly. I can't remember now, but before that happened, there wasn't a lot of positivity coming from Andrea from that. We'd done the tour the year before with Harry and Jason, but she should have been involved. But yeah, she wasn't fully committed. But I think if she hadn't like come on board, then no, I couldn't have. I mean, it put a strain on our relationship, I think, in the first few
Yeah.
years a bit, where it was like, because it is a bit Looney Tunes for most people to be going around saying that they don't live on a spinning rock.
Dude, she would
So,
think you're nuts, bro. She would literally be like, my
yeah,
husband lost, because that's what my parents think, my sister thinks. And what happens to those people? They don't want to freaking talk to you anymore. They don't want to hear it. They think you're freaking
yeah,
crazy. So how many people
yeah,
have
my older
like
daughter.
probably how many people have lost relationships over freaking flat Earth? God, well, I mean, almost all of us have. Just depends on what type of relationship it is, right? Friend, wife,
Yeah,
brother, whatever it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, so I mean, there are two ways to look at that. Either it's you need to kind of go to a different way, or it's by design. And I have to think that the by design answer is where I'm at. Like, because I have been ostracized, I have lost. I mean, in 2014, I published this book about my time in the Angolan War as a kid doing national service, and I get a whole lot of accolade for that. The next year, I started talking out about 9/11 and flat Earth, and my shares plummet worse than Bitcoin after Donald, what's his name, gets involved with it.
Hmm.
Um, Elon Musk. So yeah, but I wonder whether it isn't actually part of the the journey that we're meant to take, Dave, because I think that it's like there is actually a spiritual journey going on here. I really, and people would know, but I was a fairly staunch, atheistic kind of thinking, not like angry. I suppose a little bit angry with the idea that there could be a God, because the world is such a mess, and that's where I was in 2014. Like all these wars, these conflicting religions, and I just couldn't make any sense of it. It's like there can't be anything. And now, of course, I know that but there's something God level going on, and you see how many intelligent people around you can't see the heck out of the obviousness of the flat water that we live around, and so there's something magical, there's something spiritual going on that has meant that you and other people, and there's not an awful lot, relatively speaking, but people can see this. But what I'm saying is that, but we've been kind of brought into this flat Earth circus, and rah rah, 8 inches per mile squared, which, by the way, I don't fucking agree with. And we've all been brought into this circus
What do you mean you don't agree with
to
eight
to
inches per mile squared? What? What are you
I'll
saying?
get back to that in a
Uh,
second. I'll get back to that in a second.
yep.
But we've been brought into the circus, and it's all like, yeah, let's like, let's left brain the heck out of this. Well, I'm saying, we know something that very few people don't. And if all we're going to do is sit on that and not do anything more, it does seem to me like we've kind of found the little ring, the gold golem and we're just going to sit on this precious thing, and we're not going to do anything more. I'm here to encourage you and everybody else to kind of go. We got to see what else this is. What else does this mean? I mean, on the physical plane, yes, it might mean more land, and wouldn't it be exciting if we actually got to travel and explore some brand new continents and so on? Fantastic. However, it's the within journey, not the without, because everything that we're looking at is the without, everything outside of us. Is there more land? How does the sun work? Is it 8 inches per mile squared? Like, what's Patricia Steer doing? Or what's his name, the other guy? I don't mean Mark Sargent, the other one, Dubay. No, I know, and so
What
that
do you?
was why I sort of fell a little bit
Go
out
ahead.
of love with flat Earth, because I didn't want to simply be going round and round in circles, going, yeah. I mean, I love hypothesizing about how the Earth, our system, really works. I have some fairly intelligent conversations and ideas about how it might work. I've studied quantum physics for a few months earlier this year, and a bit like a few years ago before I lost my house. So I have a real interest in how it really might work, but I don't want to be like, I don't need to kind of keep going round and round the roundabout on flat Earth. We need to move on and go. Okay, fuck, that was stage one. That was like the beginning of the snakes and ladders board. Let's keep moving on now, because we're the first people to get here. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you can't track through the flat Earth, then you're going to struggle to find your way on an upside down
Well, dude,
board.
there's so much. I mean, yeah, there's so much. But what they've done is now that YouTube has like literally put up a cement freaking wall that's like a mile wide on truth, right? I mean, come on, it's really hard to bump into something or find out what other people are figuring out. I literally just started looking into like Native Americans now, and how like black, like literally last night, like with black people were with the Indians possibly here in the United States. I don't know if you've heard that idea
Yeah,
before, even like CC Christopher Columbus came here. Um,
yeah,
like there's all kinds of things that are still hidden away from us.
yeah.
But
The whole African American thing is mostly, I think, a bit of a con.
yeah,
I think that most
that's what they're
Africans
kind
do
of
it,
getting at,
but
which is crazy. But it's
most like,
just like
yeah.
another form of deceit. So it's all a bunch of bullshit, which we already know. But I like that. Yeah, for me, like I don't know, man. I think I don't know, man. I don't think I can force the leveling up too much in terms of except by just trying to I don't know. Becoming less attached to the crap here on that I own, breaking free of all
No,
the
no, yeah,
conditioning.
no, no, no. Let me help you. Let me help you. Let me help you. So, like, I mean, I'm not like, bashing. I'm not a proponent. I'm not selling, like meditation and yoga and so on. But I think that like the meditative kind of inward silence, yeah, that kind of silence and that kind of communing with, because it might be that God is with. In the Quran it says that God is closer to you than the jugular vein in your neck, right? And the temple of God in the Bible, this is the Ark of the Covenant. I think we carry this, and so like what we're doing when we're frenetically out there fucking beating things and drums and what have you, we're which is great, but we're also not like taking time to be like tush,
Yeah.
a bit in the Zen time, and it's because I went off Facebook for a few years, and then I saw a little while ago a Facebook video from a time just before I started doing the public speaking, and I look like a young man, man. Just this is just about 3 years ago or something. I look like a young man because I was doing the right things then. This is like in 2017, 18. I I was taking time for myself and my physical wellness and my head and stuff. I had quite time early in the morning and la la la, and sort of making that journey of connecting back to the self, because everything that's out there, once I prick your foot when you're born, you're thinking about out there. And once I make you look about the suit and the tie and the best car and all of this and the Madonna dress and whatever, you're out there. You're no longer inside, in within. So, and us left brain kind of flat Earth could see it quite easily kind of guys. are much more predisposed to holding on to that left brain fucking mentality, that and not finding our way to the softer, the divine, the feminine side of ourselves, perhaps, the creative side of ourselves. So in this quiet Zen time, this is where, that's why I maybe touch my phone. That's the only technology I have, and my wife and I share a phone. I touch it for 20 minutes a day at the moment, and I'm really happy with that. And I think that that's what my friends who I've come across in, the flat earth activism, some of them, all they can think about all day long is to bash the current agenda. Bosh, 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 bosh,
Yeah.
bosh, 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 bosh.
It's a
Much
stage,
respect and
man.
love.
It's a stage I think they're going through, bro. Like that's all. Because honestly, and also, who knows what else, what other shit is going on in your life? Well, you might have looked younger a few years earlier because a few years ago you weren't dealing with freaking being on the road and worrying about your paying your bills like you are now,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
right?
man. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and like I had people telling me, "Oh man, you blew up like a balloon." Well, you know what? I had a lot of personal shit that I went through 2 years
Yeah.
ago, where all of a sudden I became, I was stressed out of my mind. People don't know. People, actually, we're all going through crap in our own lives. That whether you have good periods and then you have crazy periods, and how we respond to them is, how do you don't know what, like, there's no format. I don't think so. Um,
No, but what happens is that if you go through that period and you realize, oh, I walked that way and now I've got a blister from walking that way.
Yeah.
I need to learn to walk differently or change the shoe or do something in a
Yep.
different way, right? And I think that in our lifetimes we go through these cycles of calm and then crazy and calm, crazy. So it's like, do we are we always buffeted by the storms? And in the world at the moment, there's a lot of storms on offer. If you want to turn on your TV, there's a lot of storms for you to focus on. I used to love focusing on the storms. Or you could go, you know what? I need to spend some time in the forest. I need to spend some time with my legs crossed, just thinking quietly, my phone a long way away from me, my technology not in my mind,
Yep.
and so on. And truly, truly, that's what I think. I think that if anything, this world has just tried to become as noisy as it can in your space at
Yep.
a most important time, because they talk about at the energetic, because I'm into electromagnetic theory big time. And I think that there is this electromagnetic signature variation that's maybe happening to do with this changing in the age of Aquarius, to do with the Schumann resonance. I don't know. But there is this change happening, and some people are feeling that change in forms that they describe as illness in the throat, in the chest. They want to go to hospital and all this sort of stuff. Well, I think that these are the energetic changes that are happening. And so if your body has not, if your temple of God has not been kept ready, and that includes the mind, the heart, and the lower chakra stuff, the gut, all of that. It includes all of those three, the Trinity. If those three are imbalanced or not in a state of balance, then of course you are likely to find yourself having dis-ease, and how that manifests itself over the next year or two. Well, that remains to be seen, because there's some people who say that by
Dave,
2025.
Dave, do you
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think that evil is real? Like there is actually like a Satan or a devil?
um Well, devil is lived backwards, and as I said earlier on,
Which is
evil
crazy,
is,
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
evil is live backwards, and I think that if we don't live our lives, if I put a whole lot of constraints on you through my Mormonism or through my
Yep.
other ism, if I put constraints on you, then that's the opposite of living, and that's evil. And if I was to constrain my son in that way, then
I
that would
just
be
I just noticed that
evil.
I feel like I see when, like, when they say no good deed goes unpunished. Like I like, it's just funny to me how I know so many people who are in quote in the little truth movement, right? Or little truth movement. Or I feel like it's so many, but the ones who actually I see who are kind of, who go out outspoken on it or whatever, or the people who are trying to push for, to further show the kind of the trailblazer people, the guy, who are paving the way to try to prove us that we have rights, which I don't even think we do in this world. I think we're freaking
No.
slaves. But um, you know, there's Flat Earth Fokker, there's Marilyn Spirit Level. I don't know if you remember her.
Of
Um,
course, I was talking about her yesterday. I
Grumbles.
was wondering about
Oh,
her.
were you really Grumbles? And I don't know if you know Grumbles and Grumbles, but he's a guy who does
Mm.
like first. He tries to like common law here in the United States, and
Okay.
but there's Mike Marshalick from Exploring Again, and I know I'm missing people, but like all these people, I got a little bit of police interaction, but and also even the preachers. Why do there so many of these people end up in the legal system, right? When they're not robbing a bank, dude. All they're doing is speaking what we perceive to be the truth, right? And kind of exposing a system. What the hell is going on when like how does that happen in like a non-supernatural world? You know what I mean? Like to me that's
Yeah.
crazy to think
Yeah.
that these people Mac like literally he left his house, dude. All he did was left his house for the quarantine, and now they're going after that. People don't realize. People don't. You dealt it right when you have the courts after you, and when they and especially when they start to threaten your freaking freedom in terms of saying
Yeah.
we're gonna lock your ass up in a little cell, bro. I remember my little ticket, right? My little ticket. I was like a little. I was stressed out over having to be in the court. The courts make me sick because it's like this authority guy who I don't believe in telling me what to do, and I have to freaking listen to his ass, or his henchmen are gonna come and get me, right? So I was
Yeah.
stressed out over that. I wasn't even. There was no. My freedom really wasn't being right threatened.
Yeah.
That's some heavy shit, man, that they put on people. Like that Mac is going through. I don't think people realize, that even a month in a jail. That dude, man, no one wants to go to jail for a month. I don't at
It's
least.
insane. But and in your country, of course, the insanity for how many people are spending many years incarcerated for growing plants.
Yeah,
And of course that goes on all over the world. And I've had a little bit of my own interaction with the police for growing plants myself. But
yeah. And by the way, Mike Marshlick, the other guy, he got his house SWAT teamed. I don't know if you know him. He was exploring again, bro. Dude, he spoke out against the masks in Hoboken, New Jersey, at the township council, right? Then his kid when they went back to school, they wanted his kid to wear a mask. He's like, no, you're not putting a freaking mask on my kid. But he goes, my kid's gonna go to school still. So like while he had his kid going to school without a mask, and they kicked him out. And then he said, fine, then I'm not taking my kid, he's not going to school for the next 2 days. The next day, when his kid didn't show up, they sent police to his house, right? Well, him, I'm a lot like him. You know what? He doesn't want to have any interaction with the cops, so he didn't answer his door, right? So they just
yeah.
escalated it. They had like 100 freaking police outside his house, surrounded him. They kicked down his
Wow.
door, kidnapped him for a week, and guess what now? They charged him with child endangerment.
Wow.
10 years.
We
10 years now he's facing with that.
wow.
And what did he do? What did he freaking
I
do?
try to protect his own child.
Right. Like what level of sick evil would you have to be the police who got involved in that, right? Or a bunch of freaking order followers, really, right? But like, like that's what I'm talking about. Like that's to me is like, how does this happen to a person? You know what I mean? How does that happen? Or
So
do they just get suckered?
okay, so I mean, is there possibly a higher power that controls the pulls of the top strings? Yeah, you've got to really have that on the table, my friend. That definitely got to be on the table. However, the word Satan used to be pronounced
Adversary.
Satan, and
Okay.
which means adversary.
Right.
And a little bit like in life, you see these adversarial kind of things going on, the red versus the blue. And in an electromagnetic universe, you have dark and light, you have hot and cold, you have winter and summer, night and day. And it is the like for one thing, humans have within them the propensity for darkness. And of course, I'm here in South Africa, where police 30 or 40 years ago were involved in sort of racially programmed darkness. Now they're involved in aspirational darkness, aspirational as your breathing, and so I think that people have the potential for that. Then you take the greed thing, um but of course there is a huge deception. Of course there is someone at some point deciding to fake ISS, fake moon landings, fake, the SpaceX,
There's a whole bunch.
Virgin Atlantic,
There's a whole bunch of people
Virgin,
who like it's almost like kind of like where you sound like to me where the way they put it is that the Bible is written and there was written by the like quote Freemasons, and that of course they're gonna play out everything in the Bible because that's their playbook that they wrote.
yeah. I've heard that. I've thought that. I have. Yeah, yeah. And what about the protocols of Zion and all that? I mean, yeah. So there is, and in a way, it's like, okay, this is meant to happen, guys. Like this is actually good news when you realize that actually this is meant to happen. Spring follows winter, night follows day. Sorry, day follows night, and I think that humanity has become slothful and gotten caught up in the seven deadly sins and has moved so far from the seven heavenly virtues, no one even teaches them anymore. And so we must go through a purging, a flu, a corona, if you like, event, a cleansing, and that's what it means. And they, because in the electromagnetic and the spiritual thing, and my experience on the DMT was that we don't die. We are infinite beings. We are infinite beings of love. And when we leave this body, this avatar, then we go back home, and we go and hang out with the lights, and then perhaps we cycle back, and we keep cycling back, and so on and so on. So I'm also trying to zoom away from being absolutely like I need to have a million life jackets here because when the flood comes, I need to be able to save everybody. Well, that's also not
Yeah, no,
essential.
I'm done. Like like for a while, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, what a heavy. Like dude, this was a good one that beginning to see. He's in the little chat here. I don't know if he's still here, but he's a guy who lives down in Alabama, and he's a little older than us. And I don't think Isaiah 40:22 likes this line of thinking. Like it's so funny, man. Like among like Christians or even people who read the Bible. Like I had another conversation with a guy. He's like, well, is Jesus even if he's a man? How da 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 da. But anyway, beginning to see he had a good quote that's in a verse in the Bible where he was talking about how God's already chosen, and it says like God already chose his crew essentially, and it's like that kind of that takes a little bit like it feels like that is the case in a way to me, like you know I still want to go out and do stuff for people, do flat earth activism and help wake people up. But man, I don't sweat it, man. Like I don't care at all now. Like if the only reason I enjoy when people stop and chat with me now is because cool, like either they're already flat earther or hey, this is kind of cool. I get to meet a person who has enough of an open mind to actually even chat with me in a mature way, as opposed to I get plenty of the people who stop and they just want, like my physicist friend yesterday who just wanted to go over how physics proves I'm wrong the whole time. You know what I mean? There's people out there who they have an open mind, and it's cool. It's nice to meet them. So I don't know.
Physics proves that you can't get a water to stick to the outside of a ball, but then that's when he'll put, oh, so the theory of gravity doesn't
Yeah.
allow, you don't allow it. That's not physics, my friend. That's a theory. Physics means physical. It means you can do it physically. That's my insight on physics. I saw that a little bit with him, and it was that did annoy me. I wanted to step into your neighborhood and come and
Yeah.
have a word with him. Um,
I just
But
didn't want to. I wasted probably. I waste. I know. Dude. You know what's funny too is like back when right when I first started going out. Like I used to think that people were genuinely interested in like right in digging for it, and I'd be like discussing it endlessly. Like, now, like the second his dad told him he's a physics guy, I was like, all right, how much time do I want to waste? How much time do
yeah.
I want to waste? Because we're not going to have any communication, right? There was no communication
Mm.
that took place there, none. And I have to say, even even on my side, what he's trying to tell me, which is a little bit scary because I know that I've turned that switch off, um, right? And
Yes, and you've kind of got, yeah, you've forgotten a lot of that stuff. But I would suggest to you that, the incredible claims require incredible proof. And the incredible claim is not that the Earth is flat. The incredible claim is that it's a globe. And the proof is based on photography or CGI only. There isn't physical proof of this business of spinning. And oh, we got LIGO, we got the LIGO, and we got gravity. When I lift this up, it'll fall down. Gravity. And that's it. So you can drop this apple down, and that's going to mean that water's now going to, and people are going to walk upside down and not even going to know. And we're going to get onto relativity in a minute, which is 8 inches per mile squared, by the way, is another form of relativity. So we'll get onto that for sure. But I wanted to say, and I know I've kind of come back at this again. As I said, Dave, you don't have a woman. I have a woman. I've had a woman on my side for the last
Why do
few
you have to
years.
rub that in
Um,
on me, man? Why do you have to keep
no,
pushing me with that?
well, I'm not
I'm
going to
just
find
kidding
you a
around.
woman.
I'm just
I'm
kidding
not going to
around,
find.
bro.
I'm not going to find you a woman. But what I'm no. The reason I say it is because I have like a sort of advantage in that I've had someone kicking my ass, going, Dave, you can't just sit on the fucking flat Earth. You really think that God's team is just going to tell people that the Earth is flat? God wants you to know that you are the spark. You are the divine essence. You are the reason. You are the fucking. I might be upsetting Isaiah, but you are God. You are God's essence.
But I'm not. But we're
In
not God. But we're not God. We're not. You're
well,
not God.
well,
Are
well,
you?
well,
You're not
well.
God.
I don't know. I don't know that we're not God.
I do.
How would I know that we're not God? Because you see, as I say, I think that obviously not, like when I had the DMT experience, whatever I was connected to was of a magnificence that was beyond anything on of Earth. So this is not to kind of be like, NASA and try and say I can leave this place. I'm greater than God and of all things. But if God is in everything, then God is in me.
Hmm.
And I am therefore God in essence, like God created
But
me
I
in
don't think
God's image. The
God
Bible
isn't.
will
I
will
don't
tell
think
you
God
that.
is in everything either, though. Right? Because like in that one line I told you earlier, where it says God has already chosen, right? Who he
Yeah.
chose who's going to be with him. So if he had to choose, that means there's some people out here, and it makes sense to me
Mm.
that like the psychopaths in charge, and then maybe a few of these guys in charge of like the police, people who like the stuff that happens, that like how does this happen? To me it seems like how do you get to be that level of sicko, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know. But I mean, sometimes I'm not sure that these what we think are sickos are actually, that I think a lot of them are actually believing the bullshit that they're believing. I mean, some of them might be. I mean, I'm not saying that no one, Bill Gates or whatever. But there are genuinely people, good, nice people who will say, yeah, yeah, we're overpopulated. Earth needs some. We are having too many people now. Most of those people will have no influence on that. But imagine you are one of those people who thought that way
Yeah,
and had the wealth and the thing to say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Those
yeah.
poor Africans, they don't know how hard it is to raise children in the Western world. So we need to encourage them to get down to 2.5 children.
Dave, your favorite, my
Um,
favorite, your favorite work that you do for me, I don't know how others feel, was when you go out there and you stick to flat Earth, man. Because when you do flat Earth, I can see when you like I can it feels to me like you're reaching more people. Because it's like the preachers, man. When preachers go out there preaching, They're like most of the people who I feel like they connect with are the people who already are on board on with God, right? And then the people who are not on board like generally get like triggered. But and then so it's like there's like this like a very like who are they preaching to at that point? You know, just to the choir almost. Where and with whereas like and then I don't know with flat like so when you move into that when you're in that zone, I don't know. I just like your when you do flat Earth, you do a
Dave,
good job. You do a good
Dave.
job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But let me tell you and anyone who's listening this is something very important. Can we agree that the Jesuits are not our friend?
Yeah, I don't think they're our friend. Yeah.
Right? The Jesuits are not our friend as far as I can tell anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're only working on limited like intel, but it just seems to me that most roads, if not all roads, lead to Rome, and behind the Vatican sits this Jesuit brotherhood, and and so it turns out that everything that I've been taught, yeah, was a lie, including even the shape of the earth that I live on. Everything that I've been taught is a lie, and yet when I joined the flat earth, I was surprised by how many Christians felt to themselves, this is the usual religious arrogance,
Yeah.
felt to
Yeah.
themselves that, well, felt to themselves that despite us not liking the Jesuits, despite them feeding us a lie of every history, we are going to hold on to the one thing that they taught every child from age 5, 6 years onwards, which is that in order to get to heaven, you have to believe that Jesus died for you. Now, what does the Jesuit Society stand for? They are the Society of Jesus.
Yeah. But only
So
thing
if
is,
the
only thing
Society
is,
of Jesus,
but the only thing is
if,
that what I was saying earlier is that God already chose his crew. It says like now some people believe this and who read the Bible and other people don't, right? So if God already chose his crew and it says it in the Bible, that's kind of interesting. Like this, like beginning to see thinks that's part of the conspiracy is to make you think you actually have to do something. Is that's kind of
yeah,
interesting, right? Like I
yeah,
mean,
but we have to set aside the deceptions. This is the important thing, and the thing is that you can go all the way through flat Earth and still carry on the back of your shoulder some of the deceptions that you were given before you knew that you've been lied to about the flat Earth by the Jesuits. You're still going to give. They gave you this. Don't forget, Jesus died for you, and you were born a sinner, and all of that stuff. That stuff is given to you, and you're not going to let go of that, despite knowing that that was given to you by the same people who lied to you about the shape of the earth.
but
These things are given to you to diminish God and to diminish your
but
connection to the
wait, the
Most High.
Bible, it's really just the King James Bible, right? That you're pointing that connection to or not? I don't know. Because aren't like the scriptures aren't tied to the Jesuits, are they?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the Society of Jesus, which is what the Jesuits are, yeah, wouldn't their most important thing be the promotion of Jesus?
Well, they created
Because
that
I
though
can assure
after,
you,
but don't didn't they create this? Like, wouldn't that be a great thing to do? Is to create a society of Jesus and call it the Jesuits, who then cast a bunch of doubt on the subject because they by being part by Jim joining that particular group, they've poisoned the well, kind of. Like that's a
eh,
possibility.
yeah, okay, I'd accept that. But I mean, on the face of it, I wouldn't call myself, the Society of Zoom Truth and be trying to like screw Zoom Truth over. I'd be trying to support you, right?
No,
I'd be
no.
trying to
If you
get
had,
people.
but if you infiltrated Zoom Truth, and right, that's the point. And that's what we see happen all the time, dude. When I was doing, I was telling people this. When I went to those frickin' freedom rallies or quote protests early on with the mask thing,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
beginning when they were natural and they were real, there was only like 12 of us, or like 8 of us would show up, right? But then all of a sudden, now there's like 400 people. But there's also a speaker, somebody who brings along an amplifier with a microphone, and and now they have a whole agenda of like 8, 10 people who want to talk. And I wanted to talk, and they wouldn't let me talk, right? But they were allowed to talk. And what were they talking about? Vote for the next guy. Vote. Here's the guy to vote for.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what
Yeah,
I mean? So how easy is it to infiltrate shit and poison it? It's very, very easy. I don't know,
it's
man.
very,
Like
very
I don't
easy,
know
which is
anything for
why,
sure.
which is exactly why, if they had the power to invent the globe and get everybody on Earth to put almost everybody on Earth to push the globe as
Yeah.
real,
Yep.
but they couldn't upset the most important message that Jesus had to be taken as the Son of God. You see, if that were true, then God would have made sure that we all knew that, and there would be no doubt about that. But if it were not true, then gosh, it could be
Well,
mired in a whole lot of uncertainty.
Dave, come on. Now you're saying then God would have done something because you what? You're thinking, you know what I mean? To think that we know why God does anything is absolutely insane, right? The create
Well,
like
then, but people, but no,
how would I ever figure out the reasoning of God of intelligence that can speak into well, and however you want to call any right? I mean, you can't think for the creator, no.
well, I mean, we're reading books that apparently were inspired by the Creator, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying how can I decide what God is thinking ever?
I would always ask the
Why he
question,
would
if
do
God
something?
was going to get involved, if God was going to get involved in the apostles, in the books of the Bible, he would have got involved in books that every man, every woman, and every child would know. Which is why he put it on our heart rather than in some man's black and white book,
Yeah.
Freemasonic book.
Yeah. But
You
he
know,
put it,
so
but
so
it is
so
in
for
our
me,
heart, isn't it? Don't you think it's in our heart? Like
so
I know you're a good guy, right? I know you are. You can
yeah,
tell
but
who the
so this
good
is
people
where
are.
our sovereignty. So this is where we see where we lose our sovereignty is where we have to give away our authority to others to do the thinking for us. So biblical scholars or Jewish scholars or Muslim scholars or whatever do all the thinking for the sheep or the flock, and they don't think for themselves anymore. They don't have that direct connection because they have it through their book and through
Well,
someone
no,
else.
no,
So
not through the book so much as how about through the churches, right? How many freaking churches have taken over, man?
well, the churches in England are all opened up for the drug habit
Yeah,
people. You know, the people who like to take the needle in the arm.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so no, there's nothing. You know, there's nothing for me. That's why for me, we are sovereign. We are, I think the free man stuff or the the SQV,
Yeah.
UCC one, all that stuff. I think is really valid. I think people need to be pushing on with that agenda to um, uh, re
You think so?
reclaim
You
our
you think we can
yeah
reclaim it?
to
I'm gonna put
reclaim
wait.
our straw man.
I'm gonna put a I want to put a link in, dude. I read there was a great article that I read, and I keep it on my phone because I don't want to lose it because I can't seem to find it. But it talks about when the United States was set up, right? It was like the Crown Templar, but it's not the Crown of England. It was the Templars, and
Knights Templar.
they were supposedly responsible um, for I guess putting together the Constitution and getting like making it seem like the people are here. They are. They're right. They're we're gonna have a Constitution. We're gonna be free. But meanwhile, the Crown Templar owns all the land in the United States still. So technically speaking, none of us own it. Um, the
Yes.
and it goes back to, and if that's true, but meanwhile most people think that when you buy a house eventually you pay off your mortgage, you own it, right? They believe
Mm.
that lie. We know that's a lie, and the proof
Yeah.
is that I still got to pay that little monthly rent
That's,
to my keepers, which is more evidence that I'm a slave. They tell us we have freedom of speech. You have freedom of speech until I guess you're saying things they don't want you to say anymore, and then they somehow figure out a way to circumvent that often. The
yeah.
guns. Oh yeah, you can still have your gun here. Just don't leave your house with it, right? You leave your house with your gun here in most places, and you don't follow their rules to exact T, you're gonna have a problem. So like the evidence is here that to me, like I really wonder whether the whole you fight the UCC, you fight all that stuff, and you get involved in that fight. It's like being in a court case your entire life, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
not. I mean, that's why without, like, I love the idea of, like, if I had a kid, I don't think I'd want my kid to have a birth certificate. I
Thanks
don't.
for covering me there. My kid doesn't have a birth certificate, but
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's part of the the plan is to assert ourselves. I mean, I'm not saying I want to get into the fight right now. I have been talking to some people in England who are taking these on, and Andrew and I were contemplating taking a flight and forcing our not forcing but standing our ground and not going for 10 days in a quarantine hotel and so on.
Yep.
But it would but I think that the conditions in the slave farm are just going to get more and more draconian, more and more difficult, and eventually it does squeeze people out or force people into a that perfect what's it um uh, Stepford Wives type perfection of everybody is follows every rule and turns up for school 5 minutes before the bell, and it's just everybody's become the perfect little robot, and I think there's a lot of people who actually love that kind of lifestyle, so they'll want more of that, while others are trying to, row their way into a different
Do you think
stream.
so my question is like, so I was of the opinion that if you filed, like, if you do the right paperwork, you do this, you do that, you jump through enough hoops, that you're going to be able to avoid paying taxes. You're going to, right, be you're going to be able to, um, have the right to travel, right?
Yeah.
You think that's legit, or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of things that we consent to that we don't realize. I'll give you a funny little. That's not that funny, but I was driving a truck around for a while last year and into the beginning of this year. I'd taken it over to Portugal. So when I bought it in England, I didn't register it. I didn't want to register it,
Yep.
and then it didn't work out in Portugal, and we drove back at the end of last year. And for a few weeks, I kind of drove around, and I knew it wasn't registered, and they got those automatic number plate recognition systems in the UK, and eventually my car got clamped,
Okay.
and I had to pay the road tax for 6 months, and then a release fee on the clamp, and that's all I had to pay. And then the lady said to me at the DVLA, the licensing people, she said, "Oh, you do need to register this car, and there might be some like outstanding things on it or whatever." But I didn't bother with that. But I sold the car about a month later, the truck about a month later to a friend of mine, and he registered it straight away. So now it had been unregistered for 6 or 7, 8 months since I'd bought it. He registers it, and immediately it gets clamped when he puts an address on it, because he now finally connects the vehicle to an address. It gets clamped, and he gets charged £1,000 for like bills that they hadn't been able to attach to me because I hadn't registered the car. So even when I got it clamped a month before, those things were already there on the vehicle, but they couldn't attach them to me because I hadn't given them an address. So these things and I've also had friends who've applied to get their credit card money back, who have successfully had some money back. I mean, you've got to be into your admin and stuff. It's not really like my strong suit, to be honest with you, Dave.
Right. Right.
But I do think that as more and more people, like in the case of me, not, our baby has no birth certificate, he has a passport, and we went through all we wrote letters, and we got help from this lady Emily who guided us because she'd done it herself, and so these things are possible, and it might eventually we get to the
But
point where
like,
not.
yeah, but like, I hear you. They're possible, right? But there always is trouble lurking from doing them too, isn't there? Like, there's always a problem, man. Like, I had my guy Free Inhabitant. He was the guy who was like it's like what Flat Earth Fokker is going through right now, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
First thing you want to do, right, when you get hit with this, like, their bullshit citations for code violations and all that, right? You want to try to get them on jurisdiction, right? But of course, now that now you're quote exposing their scam, so now they're gonna freaking up the charges against you, right? That's like their first thing. They're going to, well, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then we're going to now hit you for contempt of court, Da 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 da. da. I went through that phase, but luckily mine was only like some bullshit little ticket where they Fokker was art. Anyway, my point is that like that's not to me gaining freedom is like freedom is like I have chosen to travel and nobody can f with me now, period. Nobody, no, where does that, what I mean? But that's not what takes place. The guy who chooses to
Yeah.
travel, he drives down the
Mm.
road and he gets harassed by the police, who he then has to go through his freaking spiel. What kind of freaking
Yeah.
freedom is that? That's a freaking freedom for a headache is what it is, right? And maybe to get
Yeah.
killed.
Dude in Canada just got himself a diplomatic passport. I don't know him personally, but I did hear about it, and that's a pretty good way to go. But look, there's going to be trailblazers that kind of hopefully open the way for us to make this much easier, and then you get a certain kind of plate, so that these paid corporate thugs, start to realize that eventually they'll be leaving people alone with those sort of plates. So it is a little bit
You
kind
think
of like,
so? You think they really will? This is I'm hold on one second. I'm putting in the chat. It's the this is link to a Crown Templar article. I hope people read this, man. It's pretty interesting. But I don't think ever I don't see them leaving people alone, dude.
I did a interview or a hangout with uh, Richie, Rich, what's his name? Richie, oh gosh, I've forgotten his surname now. With a really gravelly voice, that, oh man,
Oh,
it's not,
Richie from Boston.
no, not
Oh,
really.
because
He's
he
not a
has.
flat earther,
I'm
is he?
Richie from Boston. Oh, maybe not. I thought when you said the gravelly voice, though, I thought
Yeah, no, he's a tall, like black skinned guy, dark skinned guy. I think he's I forgot his surname now, man. Oh,
D Marble. No, no,
he
he doesn't have a gravelly
no, no,
voice.
no, 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 no. And anyway, I did a thing with him a little while ago. It doesn't really matter so much. I mean, I wish I could remember his surname, but
That's fine.
he
It'll come to
he
you.
he he showed me a video of a guy in America showing all the paperwork to a state trooper. He calls his sergeant. The sergeant comes. They have a good conversation, and he lets him on his way
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he,
I've
he,
seen that.
he,
Yeah, 100%.
he showed he's shown him that he has every right to travel,
Yeah,
and he's not involved in any uh, conveyancing or whatever or business.
yeah.
So I do think that
You
we
think?
have these inalienable rights. The only problem is that the majority have consented to giving them away, and we live under mob rule. And so while the mob consent and vote and continue to kind of give their steam to this system, then of course it's going to remain in power, and whatever evil or whatever darkness kind of feeds off that. Because I will do wonder, but at the electromagnetic level, that there aren't the archons or some other entities that are feeding on our ill will, on our negativity, on our, we have a bad day at the office and they can feed on that. And it's like Monsters Inc. And if they can keep people in a constant state of fear, then they feed some beast. All of that has got to be on the table at the supreme level, but ultimately God or the creator is the most high of all things. And Richard Lopez, thank you, darling.
Oh, thank you. Yep, Richard Lopez.
Richie Lopez, I feel so bad for
I
letting
haven't
his
seen.
name
Is he
on
on YouTube still? I haven't seen him in for a while, long time.
I think he has a bigger Facebook presence, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he's so much on YouTube.
Man, I don't know how
Um,
all these people. How I want to know the trick to stay on Facebook, dude. I want to know how. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I'm telling you, the last 5 times I've been on Facebook, I got kicked off within an hour. Within
you're
one
too honest.
hour.
Yeah, you got to be. You know what? We have to be cute, eh? We are playing with the devil here. What's that Bible verse that goes,
But what can you
smart as
say? I
the
mean, dude, I
serpent.
don't even know what you can say. What? How the hell do you stay on? Like, come on, man. That's insane to me. I don't understand that. I don't get that at all. I don't
Yeah,
understand how people are on. Richard, what is it again? Lopez. Yeah, Richard Lopez.
yeah, Richie Lopez. Yeah.
I haven't seen him
No,
in a
he did
long
a
time,
video.
dude.
Yeah, he did a video. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so the point is that it was,
Yeah,
people are making strides. We are listening to a guy over in the UK
I was unsubscribed from him. I know I used to be subscribed to him. That's pretty funny.
who Richie Lopez.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I just had been
Um,
unsubscribed. That's pretty freaking
okay.
crazy.
Yeah, anyway, so anyway, the point is that I think that we're going to continue living in this crazy ass system, however it's working, until we discover our sovereignty, actually. So I think our sovereignty is an important part, our sovereignty and our divinity. That's what I want to do a tour on, Dave. Truth, sovereignty, divinity, you know, hope. These are the things that we need to have, because everything in the media is trying to rip that all away from you. Everything in religion, everything in science is trying to rip that shit away from you. And I think that that's what we need to have. So, for me, flat Earth is a part of it. But I know, honestly, I know from having had eye-to-eye conversations with people in Speaker's Corner that the flat Earth is kind of like the bells come down, the shutters come down a lot of the time, and you don't get, as you said yourself, you haven't got 50 people come back to you and go, because you've had thousands of people walk past you and hear you shouting at them, and you haven't had 50 come back after all this time and go, it took me 6 months, but eventually I had the courage to look at it. I think that it's almost like it's been sown in division, and we can keep trying to do that. And trust me, when I always want to I write flat earth where I can, and so on, and so forth. But at the same time, it's like God wants us to know much more than that the earth is flat, much more.
Yeah,
And God's greatness is so much more profound than simply the fucking flat earth. I mean, there is obviously, there's something above, something below, yes, but the what's inside, we're a microcosm of the macrocosm. We are the small of the large. And if your universe is in disarray, then you are connecting to the higher self. You are giving that energy into the universe. And I think that sometimes, if there is an evil here, it's trying to suck, I was going to say suck off, but it's trying to suck out the evil, the dark, the whatever. It thrives on the dark. That's what a psychopath thrives on. It thrives on your fear. It thrives on your darkness. It thrives on you shivering in the corner.
dude.
And
I just, dude. I don't know, man. I think that, see, you're not going, dude. You're not. I don't think you're going to study your way too much to
can you
enlightenment,
talk
man.
for can you talk for 30 seconds while I just go and grab something?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not getting old. Keep talking. I'm listening.
He wants me to keep talking. That's pretty freaking funny. Oh, I put in the link again. All right, so I am putting in that link one more time. I think it's a good article. I just put it in the chat. It's interesting about the Crown Templars, and how they set up the United States. So there's that. And by the way, thanks to everybody who comments and hangs out with me and comes here and participates. So appreciate
What's
all
the
that.
comment section? How is the comment section?
The comment
Good.
section is all over the place, as it always is, doing their own thing. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, I truly feel like inspired, and I think that it's like yeah, like I said, I found that I love all of I'm not trying to make enemies or whatever, but of course I've stood in Speaker's Corner with all religions.
yeah,
Some of them angry with me, some of them whatever, but they all think they got it right,
yeah,
you
I
know.
agree. I agree. I agree. But but
Um,
but but I think it's hysterical. Like with I don't know how. I wonder if it. I don't know how it is. Maybe like within the Muslims, do the Muslims all have individual factions within, like, like how
yeah,
Christianity does, where they're all
yeah.
bickering and squabbling over the details. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what would be, some of the biggest biggest arguments in Speaker's Corner were between different factions of
Okay, it is. Yeah, so funny, man.
yeah, yeah, I mean predominantly the Shia and Sunni and Wahhabi and yeah, there's all these and they some will kind of say no, they don't do the Sunnah this and this and that and they've got yeah, there's all of that division within all of that, and isn't it so clever? Absolutely not what God would arrange, but I don't think unless God wanted for there to be a melee and some kind of crazy religious wars and so on, but it is within each of these um, you know belief systems are all these very strong, and actually you even see it, these divisions in science, like people in quantum physics mock and others mock in and out of the various elements of things
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they
That's
hold
just
to
that's
and they
just the way it
believe,
is, man. Yeah, it's just the way it is. So I yeah.
Mm,
So I don't know. I don't. I'm not sweating too much anyway because the way I see it is like from right now is like we're all in pretty much agreement that this place was created. So to me, that's why the to me the flat Earth like, dude, do you remember? I don't know if maybe you don't remember this, but I remember I was just chatting with somebody else about this. But one of the things that I liked about Mark Sargent early on, or that I like about or whatever it is about whatever. But I used to watch him a lot more than I watch him now. But one of the things he used to have back in his show, like 3 4 years ago, was he would have testimonies of flat earthers. I don't know if you ever
yeah,
watched that. And he would play
yeah.
like these, hey, I did this, I lived this way, I lived that way. Now I know the earth was created and that there's a creator, blah, 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 blah. I think a lot of the times, most of the people were inferring that they became like, quote, Christians or, started reading the Bible. Um, but to me, like, hey, how much, what a great, easy way to get people at least to be acknowledged that there's a creator. Whereas before, most of us were, thinking that, we were buying into the whole
True,
BS of the
true, true, true. Although most people who won't take to the flat Earth are not taking to the flat Earth because they belong to the religion of NASA.
no,
So
no, yeah,
wouldn't it be like perfect Jesuit like planning to say, well, those people who we wash out of the NASA religion, we'll wash them right back into our Jesuit Christianity. So I do, because I saw it with Muslims as well. They'll take oh yeah, the Earth is flat. We see that now, but we're not going to leave our faith behind. You know, and maybe that's fine, but I just think that if these things are being given to us as deceptions, then we're meant to review them and say, oh, what's their right place in my life? Because these religions do have fantastic teachings, and the Bible has incredible truths about who we are and so on. But that it wasn't designed by a few self-interested individuals has to be very much right front and center on the table as highly possible, given the nature of the vast deception that this whole current civilization is built on. And I think there is that you can't go back. We don't want to go back to, oh well, let's just get another version of an improved government that will set aside all the 2020 insanity. We're still going to be in the same kind of pickle in 20 years time, because the finances are all built on this lie of stealing our birth certificates and so on. So I don't foresee that humanity can fix itself by just tweaking the current system. We do need to just rediscover ourselves, and you know and
we're not
if
fixing
because I
ourselves, Dave, bro, man. We're not, dude. Humanity ain't fixing itself, man. Come on, dude. Come on. You know how many flat earthers do you think are out there? Like seriously.
17. Well, no, I think no, but we are creators, Dave. We are the creator here. There is no on Earth.
Yeah.
There is no higher authority than you and me and
No,
each
that's
of
not
us.
true.
No,
Well, I
who's
mean,
higher here than
right
on
here,
Earth?
right here. When I'm driving down the road, the policeman has authority over me.
Yeah, that couldn't be.
All the government officials have authority over me. I mean,
by your
speaking,
consent.
but my
By your
over my
consent.
flesh, right? Over, but no, not by my consent, man. I don't freaking.
Yeah.
You think I consent to this shit? Come on, man. I don't
Well,
consent to any of it.
you live in a but you live in a prison camp in
I'm
which the
I it's
majority
through
have consented.
it's through coercion. They have my whatever, if you want to call it, I wouldn't call it agreement, but I comply. I love that word. When the officers
I'm
say
glad you.
I am, it's but it's the right, they are at least being honest in saying I am complying, because I think when the word comply is also insinuating that there will be some form of coercion that is taking place in order for you to do what they're saying. So
No,
you
I
just
do not
comply.
comply. I think I do not consent is far more powerful. And if people realize that they actually had that power, you see, we've been coerced and seduced, or it's been our power has been stolen. You know, obviously some people know that they were made slaves and so on, and that slavery is meant to have gone away. No, we're still slaves, but we're only slaves really, but because we consent to it. You know, because in the Bible it says that we are inheritors of God's earth. That, you know, in any of these religious texts, it doesn't put the organization of Washington or London, you know, Parliament or whatever, Whitehall. It doesn't put them in. It doesn't. God doesn't give them that power. Man has given man's organizations and structures power. Yes, by being beaten, by being burned at the stake, and by being warred, you know, put into war against other people and segregated through religion and race and national borders and flags and all this sort of thing. But that's how we've been seduced into it. I mean, every time you fly that American flag, you're basically saying, yes, I consent to being a slave inside of this camp called the United States
Yeah, yeah, I
Corporation.
agree with you there. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and
100%.
so it is through that
But
trickery,
it's not.
sleight of
Yeah,
hand,
yeah. But that's
that
not
we have.
consent. That's ignorance, right? Or if it's not ignorance, that's straight up the freaking power of brainwash. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like to me, it's
Yeah,
like, that's why it's like, well, I mean, I can't say it's hopeless, because who know, like, like they have that whole monkey thing that they talk about, the 100th monkey. There's a point where you reach critical mass. Who knows? Maybe
yeah,
there's a point where people reach critical
yeah.
mass and enlightenment, and boom, all of a sudden, people all wake up the remainder of the people wake up at once. That's sure. That's
Or it's much
yeah,
easier for
yeah, that's
people, yeah,
possible.
to transmit from one state to another. Or, you know, the Bible talks about 144,000. Maybe it's a number of people, maybe it's a vibration that we're putting into the ether, into the heavens, or into the earth. Maybe it's a bunch of things, but I'm absolutely no, no. Let me assure you, my friend, that nature is far more powerful than man, and she is on a 24,000 year cycle, just like the winter and summer cycle. And in the years ahead, we will return to a golden age. We know that humanity had a golden age. Those buildings of the
I don't
so-called
know, man.
Enlightenment, or the
I
those
I think it's a
those were the,
possibility. I'm not off the table, man, because I'm not. But I don't know, man. The more Isaiah 40:22, dude, he's in the chat, dude. He worked me over good, man, with the whole, because I remember, like, for a long time there, I was like, the Bible is just a bunch of like, I remember I was like, oh yeah, I'm born again, and then after thinking about it a little bit, I thought the Bible was 100% like used to control us, because I was looking at it from one, only my usual, looking at things from one perspective, I guess, and not being open-minded at all. But not saying that I know 100% that I'm right now too, but hearing another perspective of things is interesting. And like, I would always use the pay unto Caesar that which is Caesar. I was like, are you kidding me, man? What kind of con job they telling you, right? It's right there in our faces that they pay unto Caesar. Like, they're telling us to be like good little slaves. And and but then after you go to enough quote protests, or you do enough little flat earth quote activism, where you ask for people to come out and join you, and you're pretty much there alone, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't happening, like, on a schedule that probably in
no,
in
yeah,
in my
yeah,
lifetime.
yeah, man. I thought that we'd see that happen really, really quickly. You know. But no, because for me, it's like the people that have given us all of these deceptions, and then those people who read the Bible and study the Bible will tell you that, there were more books to the Bible than there are now. There are 100 or 1,000 interpretations of very important elements of Christian teaching.
Oh, by the
You
way,
know,
the give unto Caesar thing, or pay unto Caesar, like the interpretation, I guess, that Isaiah 40:22 gave me was, is like, listen, man, he's like, he could be saying, I don't know if he's saying it 100%, but one of the ways you could read that is that if you want to fight the beast system, you know, don't pay Caesar that which is Caesar's, right? And you can spin your wheels fighting a system that you know ain't it, like because the idea, think about like the enormity of the government, bro. The enormity of the amount of control they have, and
but here's
people
what happens
who have.
when your mother registers your birth on the UK one. I don't know about the American one, but I suspect it's exactly the same. It says, who's the informant, and the informant is the mother, and the informant is normally in the basis of a crime or something like that. So the mother informs and gives the state basically it says, we'll give you responsibility for this new ship, and we'll name it in capital letters, your name. And then that birth certificate is held by the Vatican until you're 7 years old. Give me the boy until you're seven, and I'll give you the man. And that man at seven is then, or that docket is then given to the bank, to the Crown of England, the City of London, which then trades it, and that money is then used to pay for things, your road works and a whole lot of stuff. The guys who look into this, is not me, but the guys who look into this will tell you that the Vatican is right at heart and center of the biggest scam, on one of the biggest scams, if not the biggest scam of all, which is that God says in the Bible that you are the inheritors of the earth, of the value of the earth, and some suggest that you're meant to, when you're born, get given in gold weight, the same weight as your birth weight. And all of this is now being kept by the Vatican, and kept from you. So, for me to say, oh, well, the Vatican also said, I've got to believe this book and believe these very important things. After Santa comes down the chimney, Jesus walks on water, dies for my sins, and I have to I have to see him as the Savior, the Son of God, rather than God itself. And then people suggest even that Christianity is a form of sun worship, because they always, it's on a Sunday, and they always have this depiction of a man with a sun behind his head. And I think that actually the pay unto Caesar is true. I think possibly Caesar's rule is still rules the world, and we are still paying to Rome our taxes and so on, all fed through the American system. Apparently, the taxes all go through the IRS. And so, yeah, I don't favor books given to me by the same people who've lied to me about pretty much everything else. And we know the Vatican invented the Big Bang. We know that they are right behind the globe, and as far as I can tell, pushed that. And they never really had a problem with evolution. So no, I'm not going to be taking any book, because God didn't need to write books. God doesn't need language. So to say, oh, it had to be Latin, it had to be from these European dudes who told you the story passed on from the Jewish dudes. There are people in Central Africa called the Meru people, and they have a very similar um, um, backstory to that of the Old Testament. If you listen to
See,
their
so
old
somebody
stories.
just said something though, but keep going. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So these Meru people actually live around Mount Meru, which is in the area of Kilimanjaro. And I discovered this a few years ago when I was trying to understand whether, Kilimanjaro was perhaps once a giant tree that had crystallized and fallen into the ocean. So I was looking at it closely, and I found this Mount Meru there, which is an incredible, massive mountain. It's nothing to be sniffed at. And there's mountain of the gods there and so on. And so, I think that it's altogether possible that, our history of how we come to be here and so on has been totally controlled by these entities known as the Vatican and so on. So I really don't want to, be using their references as my kind of thing. So I threw the Mount Meru thing in there because, as far as I'm concerned, like this idea that there's a magnetic mountain at the center of our circular earth and so on, which is what compasses are all drawn to, doesn't make sense to me, because if that were true, then compasses would barely work all the way here in South Africa. It's thousands and thousands of miles away from this magnetic lodestone. Whereas, with magnets, the closer you get, the much more powerful they become very rapidly. But, if you get any distance away, they're almost negligible. So I think that we sit on this electromagnetic plate that has its own currents within it, the north-south facing currents, as these lines flow in and out of the plate, and that's how we're getting our general north and south. I've never seen any photo of any Mount Meru, any North Pole like thing that would hint at anything like that. So is it not possible that the center of our Earth Day is actually, like the scientists tell us, we come out of Africa? I think the center of our Earth is possibly Africa, and that the darkest skinned people live near the equator, or the equatorus, because I think it's equal Taurus points at the equator, and that, yeah, everything comes out of there, and it's been a usurpation of our history from day one, and I'm not a big fan of being lied to. Fool me
Yeah.
once, shame on me. Fool me twice,
Yeah.
shame on you.
Yeah. I hear
Oh
you.
no, no, shame on me. Gee, I can't even get George
The
Bush's
Maru
thing right.
thing is, I mean, Maru. I thought, yeah, Maru is the center of there. But you just said, from what I understood, though, it was like I thought it was like somewhere up in Antarctica, or not in the Arctic, for some reason.
Correct.
Oh, it is.
Correct.
It
Correct.
is.
That's what we're told to think by the Flat Earth
Okay,
Society.
gotcha. I gotcha.
So
Okay.
I want to come round to, while I've got time, Dave, is to come round to the 8 inches per mile squared, if
Yeah,
you like.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, real fast though. But I mean, that ends up, then you end up in Jim Lotus territory, where God is a tree. I think is what he was proclaiming. Who knows? They call it the tree of life. I've heard that too. I don't know. I have no clue. But
Can I offer you a thought that I have? I mean, obviously, this is my own theory, based on everything that I've
we're made in
researched
the
and the
image of man. Of God, we're made in the image of God, though, aren't we? Supposedly, that makes more sense to
yeah,
me.
but I mean, of course, I mean, it's interesting because obviously, if you look around Earth, there are a myriad different faces and so on.
Yeah.
So and obviously different genders and so on. And so God obviously has the potentiality for all of this uh, um, difference. Um, I don't know exactly that, but I have this hypothesis that God is this giantine, obviously infinitely large entity, and that we're actually living within it. That we're actually, where we are is maybe like a center point within what is God, what is all creation. And this is just like a midpoint, like there were, the sort of sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone, the accretion zone in between the hot and the cold. But yeah, I imagine that. So this plate that we're walking on could be, parts of the god's, body. But we'd be within it, obviously, rather than on the skin or on the outside of it. We have to be inside the egg. That seems to me to be that seems to me to be obvious.
I don't know, dude.
Don't know.
I'll tell you this. I go. I started riding my bike to the beach now at the end of the day, trying to get burn off some of the fat that has accumulated on me, and it's nice, man. I go out. I'm out in nature, blah blah blah, and you can relax. You get away from TV or all the other crap. So it's there's some people, man, who are living their lives, man, who don't even like probably. I've seen like people who like climb in the Alps and they just like climb mountains and like they could like peel off of that mountain and be dead in like a heartbeat, but like that's their thing, you know what I mean? They do it. And like, so all this crap that we're talking about sometimes, a lot of it is just bullshit in our brains too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so true. They're just kind of out there living their lives. Sometimes I've approached people and gone, there's some truth you need to know, and they're like, you know what, I don't really want to know. I just want to go on living my life and so on. And you know what? That's absolutely their journey, and that's their choice, and that's
Yeah.
their right, isn't it?
Yeah.
To do that. And sometimes I wonder about whether we haven't. That's been part of the trick is that this pulls you out of your life and gets you so energized about doing other things, you actually forget about living your own
Yeah.
true
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Because who was it that I was just chatting with? They said, man, I think I'm going senile, bro. I can't remember any of these conversations. I'm having too many long conversations with people, though, where the shit just starts to like wear on you. But what they said is that, oh, it was beginning to see. He had a friend who went off to preach to people in, another country, and the poor guy like basically went broke and went busto and was worse for it, right? Was literally
Yeah,
had more problems than
yeah,
than what he bargained
yeah,
for. And
yeah.
here like and like who am I? Like, dude, it's not like I know my personal life, dude. Who am I
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
telling people anything, bro? Like zero, right?
yeah.
That's a little bit weird. Like that's a little bit weird when I go out on the street and like you know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't think we're trying. I don't think I'm necessarily. I guess the way I get around that is I don't like. I'm just trying to say like look into. I think that they lied about the shape of the Earth, and and if that's true, maybe you will adjust your life somewhat. But what good is the adjustment sometimes, right? I know all what so oh, here's how you'll adjust your life, by the way, if you come and you join us in our little flat earth journey. You're going to tell your friends and family, and they're probably going to they're going to leave you. Good luck bringing this up at work. So you're going to have to keep this quiet at your job
Mm,
unless you don't want to have a
mm.
job. And then a lot of people are going to get tired they don't even want to work anymore because they're so fed up once they figure out that they really aren't a beast slave system. Like, holy crap, man! What man, we're not bringing a lot of good to the table either when we do that. It's pretty weird, man. It's very
This guy,
interesting.
this, this guy whose farm I'm staying on at the moment, he's a flat earther, and 2 years ago or thereabouts, his wife left him over the flat Earth debate, and
Oh wow, that's heavy, dude.
yeah, as well as losing his farm, he's lost his marriage. And so and this is, I mean, but what we were given these inquiring minds, and we were given these outspoken personalities, I suppose, that would go and do something with that. Isn't that divinely inspired as well, divinely written? Everything's happening for a reason, and so on. So is it the children? I've wondered about that with my Alexander. Is he? Do I give him things that enable him to go on and take the journey further? Because I do think that it's about getting off the sofa. Evil prospers when good men do nothing, and I think that it's one thing to be able to go and do your mountaineering all week long and just
Yeah, that's how
lose
I feel
yourself in the
too.
mountains.
Yep.
But we do need to. I think that we do need to take action. And if there is evil here, if there is Satan here, then the Satan loves that you get lost in the kind of in the bureaucracy of it,
I watched a good
and then
preacher. I watched a good preacher, Dave, or I enjoyed him, and he was saying, he was like, he's like Satan. He's like, he's fine with the people who are going about their lives and living however they want. He's like, he's only going to go after those people who are bringing about the truth and showing the truth. That's the people he's going to focus his energy on. And it seems like that's what I mean. Like I feel like I've seen that with Flat Earth Fokker and with Marilyn, and I've seen grumbles and grumbles. People who are trying to go about doing things
yeah.
against the system, they get
Mm.
slapped down. Like it just doesn't seem like that's by accident. Um,
You've seen the Lord of the Rings, I mean, he's the guy who takes the ring, the one who takes the quest. He's got to expect, she's got to expect for there to be, pushback and, shit railed against you, in the quest, and that's true. And I suppose, maybe I've asked myself that question at times. I've been like, oh, I can't continue this journey anymore. This is just too, the price is too high, and I just don't know what else I would do, to be honest. But I think that not everybody has to, as I said earlier, I don't think everybody has to get to the home run or the goal or the finish line. Not everybody has to. I don't think we're doing it as individuals. I think we're doing it as a collective effort
I read
to
I
move
read
towards the light.
I read on there's a good website called Peace of Mindful. He's not a flat earther though, which is weird. But they're like up on all the shooting hoaxes. Anyway, the last one was like, I hear like I think a lot of people wonder this is like, why the hell? Well, how the hell did I wake up? Like that one stumps me like no other. Like
Yeah.
what in the hell, man? Like what? That one is just
Mhm.
that one is poof, right?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think so. Anyway, they on that Peace of Mindful website, that's what the person wrote a little article on. They were like, pontificating on, couldn't figure, again, just I think, I don't think that's uncommon to
Mm.
wonder that.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Why me, and why others who you think should see can't? It's it's a
And how
and
about
same with
this?
the.
How about this? Like with my mom and my dad, and somebody else said that Isaiah 40:22. I was having a conversation with him, and he said he had the exact same thing happen, where I'm like, so mom, you don't trust the government? Do you trust the government? I say to my mom, no, I don't. I don't really trust the government, right? Okay, mom, please look, dad, look at this. Look at this information regarding the jab, right? Please look at this, and you'll see that you might want to reconsider what it is you're thinking. 3 weeks later, yeah, we got it. Yeah, we got it. So, like what in the hell? How is it that people can right? They tell you that they don't trust the government. You think then here they are, your own freaking family. Forget about my lousy friends who knows whether they were my friends. My own freaking family, they actually end up right? They don't trust you enough or worse, they don't think highly enough. I think some like I take it. My pride takes a hit here, where they don't even think highly enough of you to even bother looking into the information. Like, what the frick is that all about, man?
Don't take it personally. It's nothing personal. It really isn't anything personal. It's all to do with the program that they're running and how they've been hypnotized.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's incredible, and I don't want you.
But it
I don't
makes
want
no
to speak.
sense. It
No.
makes no sense, dude. Like they will literally tell you they don't trust the government.
Oh yeah, I mean, in this country, the previous president is facing 700 charges of corruption and various things, and it led to the riots that you might have heard about in South Africa 2 weeks ago. And people don't trust the government at all, and yet they're all just going along with it. But I do have here in South Africa fantastic conversations with people who, with just a little bit of prompting, are willing to say, "Yeah, I think there's something really crazy with what's going on at the moment, and I don't trust that." So, for me to then jump into, well, because I think they're actually trying to target something about you, who you are, and what you are, and get into the sovereign, divine, spiritual element. And by the way, the earth is obviously not a spinning globe. I find that that really works, and I've been trying to actually stimulate conversations with people like yourself, Dave, because um, I want to see if I can't, generate some support from America and maybe Europe to do like a mini tour here in South Africa for a few months to try and go around and see what traction can be made in terms of, getting people awake here. There's very few people like
Oh,
doing anything here.
I want to go
But
on. South
I
Africa.
think that,
Have you looked on? Have you
mm,
looked on there on the Flat Earth People Finder if there's any people there?
I haven't yet. No,
You
actually, to
know,
be honest.
Dave and Dave has one too now. I don't know how on his app. You know, DITRH. Hold on,
Yeah.
I'm looking on South Africa right now. I'll tell you. Give me a second. I
Okay.
just want to see.
Okay. All right. Because I really think that there's a huge appetite for this information. If anyone goes on to my videos from the last month, you'll see me talking to homeless people down on the beachfront, talking to people. Not so much activism, but a bit. And I did a whole lot of chalk on the sidewalks down there, and it stayed on the sidewalks for a week. No rain, and it just stayed on the sidewalk for weeks. Thousands would have walked past it.
Oh my
But
gosh,
I've got this energy to do something, like
Dave,
but something deeper.
you will be a. I don't know if anybody can see it. You would be like. You could be the pioneer in South Africa, man. Bro, it is. There isn't a single freaking.
Wow,
I mean,
wow.
oh, yeah.
Well, I think Mark Sargent kindly put out a little request for me to see if I could pull together like a hangout here or in Cape Town, and I don't think he had any response to that. I didn't hear of any. I have met now two or three, and I've had two or three others contact me in South Africa, but that's the extent of it. And
Do
so
they?
yeah, there's very, but
But
there is,
but so there are flat earthers there for sure.
there are, and
And
there are in fact flat earthers here. Yes, that's a fact.
is there any like where like they're more aware that is there any like is there any feeling like they might be more aware that the Earth isn't a ball than like here or you can't really speak
Yeah,
for the United States, but
yeah,
for over
yeah.
in England.
So yeah, so I mean, people may or may not know, but South Africa has an interesting history, and not all people have had the same disability. So, when you talk to Black African people here, oftentimes they are much easier to go, yeah, I know the earth isn't moving.
Yeah.
I do trust that. I know that.
So it's like,
Um,
what are you trying to
so
tell us? They're like, yeah, okay.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
Tell me
So
what's next, right? Yeah.
yeah, so I've had quite a few black dudes go, wow, man, I can see that. It's not hard for me to kind of to reach to that. And of course, they're not that trusting of the white man's science anyway, because they have been rammed a whole lot of bullshit down there, HIV stuff and all that. So for me, I think there's a real potential. I was going to try and get hold of Dave Weiss. Actually, I wrote to him a little while ago. We had an email exchange. We are friends, I think, Dave and I, but he's a very very busy man, and so he hasn't written back to me. But I hadn't. I was going to write to him and say, does he know some people who might be willing to kind of help me try and pull together a few people. I mean, I could run a little tour myself, having had the experiences that I've had, but I would pull in a few people because, as you said, if you could go down to your pitch with two or three people, you would be far more, two or three like sober people, you would be far more,
Yeah.
effective. And it's you see it with the with the Jehovah's Witnesses and others. They always go in two and three in the street, because they got each other for backup. You can bounce stuff around the conversation, change the energy. Blah, 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 it's and you don't
Handle it
seem
when
like a
more.
lone knuckle.
You can handle it when there's more than one person standing in front of you.
Yeah,
You can get a conversation going with
yeah,
people who
yeah.
show up in the middle of it. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
advantages. So what are you gonna do?
yeah. No,
So what do you you're probably thinking that in order to do that you got to finance that thing, huh?
yeah. I mean, I need a little bit of financing, like transport, and and a little bit for accommodation, but
Are you taking the
I
family?
should.
You're gonna take the family along too on the tour?
Well, I mean, my older children are still in England.
Yeah.
Alexander is with us here, and
Yep.
Andrea,
Yep.
they're with us.
She's down
So,
with the tour.
so yeah, yeah, yeah. She's down with the tour. I mean,
She's a
she's
trooper. Dude, she's a trooper,
yeah,
man. She
she is. I mean,
you really push you
look,
really
she has. I mean, so people know, like at least once a week, maybe many times more than once a week, I get told, I want a home, I need a home, I need a home. So it's
Oh,
not like we're in love with life on the road and living out of the suitcase, but it's been 22 months, and I feel like the only way for me to move at the moment is forward with the things that I've been doing, and we know that going back into the system is, well, if it seemed a bit silly back in 2019, it's insane in 2021. The idea that the system has got anything good to offer us. But we obviously all need to generate means of income and so on. But I'm only going to achieve that, and what I've achieved over the last year and a half has been to a great extent because of the support of the Flat Earth community.
Really?
You may not know, yeah, you may not know this, but I mean, but after the Globe Light tour in 2019, we had some accommodation for a little while, and then by the end of middle of January, we were out of luck, out of money, and we put out a request to the Flat Earth community. And I only have a small subscriber base, but they supported us with hundreds of pounds, and along the way, it's turned into thousands of pounds since then to kind of keep us basically paying for our accommodation along the way, or travel, or food at times. There's been many times you've been like, we don't know where the
Dude,
money's
man,
coming
that's
from, and then
insane,
someone
Dave.
someone will send us money, and then Karen B did a flat one of her get-togethers a few months ago, and uh, uh, Dr. La and that flat fellow, they kind of got together and did a food stand and raised $1,200 for me and my family.
Wow.
So yeah, the flat Earth
But I
community.
mean, dude, that doesn't go very far these days either, right? I mean, I don't even have a freaking family, and holy
No, that doesn't
crap,
go
dude.
far. That doesn't go far. And we would love to get a laptop and be able to kind of operate, do like Hangouts and stuff like that, and so on. It doesn't go very far, and I know that it's hard to. My hope had been at some point. Actually, my story goes a little bit like this: that we'd come out to South Africa because we'd sort of met a couple online that was subscribers to the channel, and we had similar interests and similar ideas and so on, and they'd got some Bitcoin money together, so we were going to get a place together in South Africa on a farm and just do natural stuff and growing and so on. Unfortunately, when we met, we realized that it was more of an online date situation where it wasn't quite what we'd hoped for, and we had to separate. But we sort of found ourselves in South Africa without any funds, and without a kind of a network, because my network was mainly based in the UK. So we have been a few months kind of just trying to work out what to do next. And I go out into the streets, and honestly, I've had some incredible conversations with people, from heroin users to just regular, or other folks, and the conversations are on a level that I know that I'm making connections with these people that I struggle to make in the West, in Europe, because these people are so hungry to hear something that they've never heard before. I had about 7 or 8, 10 minutes in a queue in a supermarket a month ago. I was giving some homeless guys some food, and I'd bought like a trolley full of bread and other stuff, and she wanted to know what I was doing, and because I had these black dudes, these homeless dudes with me, and I explained what I was doing, and that we've been deceived about all these things in 2020 and a whole lot of other stuff. And she gave me some money at the end of the conversation. She said, I just want to give you a little contribution towards the food. The next day, I was on the beach talking to these people about what I was doing, and they gave me a contribution towards, you know, the, to us to help us out and stuff. So I know that there is a real appetite for this here, because people have never heard the stuff that we're talking about, never heard this stuff. And I spoke to a guy, right? This is he's in
Dude,
South Africa.
dude, I have to admit, man, I get so, and by the remember, I'll remember the guy, but I get so cynical. I think a lot, maybe a lot of people are like me. I get nervous, man, when money, I think a lot of people do, but I also understand what you're saying. But when money all of a sudden money starts flowing, you know, like it's like at what point does it, I always get nervous, when do you turn into Joel Osteen, or
Oh
one of
my
those,
God.
you know what I mean, and like I think
Yeah,
so, like that shit poisons people, but I think it's
yeah.
freaking crazy too, because like you could pick if you wanted to make money. The way I kind of see it in another way though is like if anybody in like quote flat Earth community really wanted to make money, you probably could find a better subject than
I'd be a
something.
Christian flat earther. I'd be a Christian flat earther because there's more money in being a Christian flat earther.
You think
I'd
so?
be,
I don't
I'd
think
be a,
so, man. I would say
oh yeah,
nothing. Maybe just be Christian. There's more money in being Christian, maybe. But I don't.
absolutely, absolutely.
Flat
Yeah.
Earth just
No, no,
destroys your
well,
money
yeah,
making ability. So
no,
I'm
because
just
I
thinking
think,
maybe of redirecting your energies towards. No, I'm just kidding. No, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so crazy that like here we are, and like they figured out like the poor freaking people. Everybody I see who is like I was watching Stavely on Brian Stavely's channel, um,
uh-huh.
where he's like, you know, he's trying to just get a couple. He's like, if I could just get enough bucks just to keep my nose above water, and you know, I used to, I think, be more critical of it, but now I get it, man. I'm not. I don't really want to be in the system and work for the like you know, you go and you go to work. It feels like you're kind of like just partaking in it. I don't know. It's crazy, and plus people want to do what they want to do, which is all good. Um,
Yeah, and it's worth saying that, you know, like in my way of it, and the last few years, you know, actually I've done a lot more physical work, and then, you know, I'm 50 odd, and I have a pretty good physique, and the reason for that is because not because I've been in a gym for 7 years or so, but because I actually do enjoy doing physical work, you know, and you know, my body feels better, my mind feels better. I like working hard, and anyone who's spent any time with me will know that when I get working, there's very few people that can keep up with me. So
mm,
you know, it's not about wanting to kind of sit on the sofa and be a loafer. You know, it's that actually there is work to be done. I
yeah,
truly believe it. I think
yeah,
you know, I never felt like in all my life up until I was 47, 48, I never felt like that I would ever have any kind of mission, any purpose, you know, any higher calling or anything like that.
yeah. Me too.
And that's what I've come to. Along this way, I've done gardening, I've done house cleaning for old ladies, I've done any number of things that are well below my pay grade, and you know, I'm down on my knees doing things, and you know, and cleaning for you know, and it's like, you know, so it's not like I haven't had to dirty my hands. I've got this impressive scar on my arm at the moment
Yeah, where
from.
did that come from? I was watching that.
Check this out. It's mostly healing now, but
That thing
where's
is
the camera?
gruesome, dude. What the hell happened
It's
to you?
it's mostly healed now.
Yeah, is it on your
But I
forearm too, or not?
Yeah,
On
yeah,
the
I can't
inside?
see it. Oh yeah, it's on the. I think I'd have to
Yeah,
show it to you like
yeah.
this.
I see it.
Wait, wait, let me do it like this. Most of the scab has come off now. Um, so that's looking better. But yeah, I was pruning a tree, um, uh, and that's, you know, I love, yeah. I mean, it's not about
What did it
it's
do?
not
It
about not.
attacked you? How did that occur?
I was trying to, yeah, I was climbing. I haven't done any pruning for a year now, and so I'm a little bit unfit. But I was climbing a tree and lost my footing, and I slipped. And as I slipped, I
Oh, right.
grabbed the trunk, and it just, you know, burned my arm. But
Oh my
it's all
God,
good. I
dude,
mean,
that thing chewed you up.
when I was doing the gardening back in London, you know, my hands were torn apart, and my legs, you know, scratched, and you know, working the wood and so on. I think this is great for us, actually. You know, I
Freaking
love
gravity,
doing this
man. That
kind
was gravity. Somebody said.
of.
Said
Yeah,
freaking gravity.
yeah, yeah. I used anti-gravity to get up there, and then gravity pulled me down.
That's so funny.
Um, yeah,
Lucky
I
you didn't
was, I
freaking
was
break
going.
your legs.
Yeah, that I mean, and I couldn't afford to go to a
Oh
hospital
my
in South
gosh,
Africa. You know,
that's one of my dude, I'm telling you, that's one of the things I am concerned about. That puts a lot of people right into the poorhouse. All you need is one medical emergency and what the hell
I
happens
can't even,
next?
I can't even pay for the, you know, the, what do you call it, the consultancy fee at the beginning. You know,
Dude, I
so
couldn't pay
yeah,
for a
I
1 mile
mean,
trip in an ambulance. Are you kidding me? It's like they charge
yeah.
like 10 grand now these days. It's crazy.
And actually, you know, when it comes to the money thing, like, you know, if you think about how much work Brian Staveley has put into his content creation and so on, and you know, trying to alert people, you know, much respect. And
Yep,
like,
I agree.
if he was working for like an establishment who was promoting a religion or a drug or whatever, he would be a very wealthy guy. He'd drive a
Yeah.
nice car and have 3 holidays a year.
Yeah.
And the truth is that, because Andrea has said to me, like, you need to push the Patreon thing and try and generate some income in that way and
Yeah.
so on. Like, look at Brian, how much work has he put in, and he's got to about £500, $500 a month or something, from Patreon. So, and good, well done to those people that are supporting him. But it's a long way from, like, if he was selling drugs for the pharmaceutical companies, how much he'd be making for selling his, promoting his information. So yeah, I think my hope all along is, because I knew a few years ago, 2016, I was like, there's some big shit coming down the line, and we've got to be prepared for it. I unfortunately do not have assets that I can release to put myself in a Owen Benjamin situation where I'm on the land and I'm just chilling, and I can do all my growing and stuff. God knows I've tried that. I went to Portugal, and I've looked at other places in the UK, and of course I'd hoped for that, here in South Africa. And I do wonder whether we don't get to a time when, and I've actually, some generous Americans, including Ceiling Fan Man, have offered me, and a guy out in Flat Plain, Oregon, I think, have offered me, a place on the land out in America. I can't go to America for a little while yet because of the cannabis related thing in 2018.
Oh, really?
Anyway,
Oh my
so
God.
so anyway, but not that I would necessarily snatch at America.
Right.
It's
Right.
kind of, they just
No,
it
just
just
the fact that you can't go anywhere is crazy, to me.
it is crazy. But my thoughts are that more and more people will get to that point where they go, gee, you know what? I do have a lot of land here. I'm farming it in unsustainable ways. Maybe I should, like, hive some of it off and let other people kind of live on it in a different way. Maybe that is a bit idealistic, but I have obviously still got these ideas that, society is going to be maybe split into those who have to go along with whatever the system requires, and those who find a way to step outside of it. And I would love to be one of those that steps outside of it, and helps other people find a community, a village, a way of life that is much more, in tune with what nature recommends, and what God suggests. So that's what I'm kind of that's what I think. And to say, oh, I'm just going to give up and it's hopeless and so on, is like, oh, fuck that. They have not won, and God is not less powerful than the devil or Satan or whatever ne'er do well runs this shit show. So I remain really, really optimistic, even though I've had the hardest years of my life, and I was in war as a kid. So let me tell you, this has
That's
been a
crazy, dude.
fucking
Yeah.
incredible hard year and two. And my little baby boy, of course, he's 4 now, has had to walk day by day through every one of these
I
days
can't
that
believe
we've
he's
walked
four
through.
already, man. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so anyway, that's that. And but it's kind of late for me here. I do want to share this 8 inches per mile squared thing with you though, Dave.
So wait, before you do that, do you have Patreon set up now or not yet? You haven't done that.
I actually have Patreon set up. I have 5 patrons, so I should say thank you very, very much to those patrons.
You
Yeah,
should put that.
I want to say thank.
Yeah. Or I mean, well, I mean, I guess it's no big
It's
deal.
Trinity
But
4. Well, it's if anyone has just listened to this hour or two and thought, oh well, I would Patreon him,
yeah.
fine. It's Trinity 4. But go to my channel and check out some of my stuff, I suppose. And you know, I mean, I am more than flat Earth. If all you're after is just let's bang on about the flat Earth, then I'm not necessarily your guy, because I think that we are more than flat Earth, and God wants us to think about more than just the board that we're playing on. And so and obviously it's the grandness of the lie. I think why flat Earth is so important is because, for me, if you can lie about the shape of the freaking Earth you live on, and you can get everybody to kind of go in and do NASA and do ISS and do everything, and the Russia versus America thing, and China doesn't say anything about it, then you know that everything you've been given is a lie. And that's why, for me, it was like a surprise at the beginning of Flat Earth, when sort of the first UK conference and so on. I saw this like massive amount of Christian sort of involvement. And it was like, whoa, this is, I went back to the Bible when I first found Flat Earth. I did. But it was like, wow, this is interesting because I realized that just like any other guy, you like, wow, we know all of this, we know this people's a lie, but we're not going to consider the possibility that this other bit that only 2 billion out of 8 billion people believe, it could also be a lie. Anyway, that's that. I don't want to keep banging on about that. And the thing is that I know I didn't want to talk about this for a long time because it was like I don't want to upset the Christians. I don't, and that's a crazy thing. Hey, it should like I don't want to upset the nappy wearers. You don't. It shouldn't be that. It should be like, listen, look at this again. Think about who has given you this key information, and it is divisive. It is something that only a few people out of 10 on earth actually believe. And God, the God that I believe in or would hold to, would be far more powerful than that, far more clever than that, than to devise something that was so divisive.
What
So
what
no,
what what is divisive?
Christianity.
Oh, you think
Any
so? I don't see it
well,
as
how
div.
many how
I
many
don't.
Christians are there? How many Christians are there on earth?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm going to be generous and say 3 billion, but there are 7 or 8 billion people on earth. So that's a pretty poor hit rate. If you were God and you were like, everyone has to know that Jesus was the one and only, right? And only 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10 know that after all of this time, I call that a bit of a fail. And it would mean that all of those people that never found that information were somehow doomed or were never going to find it because their book was written by someone else.
Yeah.
No, no, that's too divisive for me. I don't accept
Well,
anything
that's
that
but
doesn't
that's but
include all
that's
of it.
but that's one interpretation. Remember what I was saying? God has already chosen his crew, right? So if God has already chosen his crew, then it doesn't have to reach. Like that's a possibility, right? Which then there's no divisiveness there. The divisiveness comes from possibly the people who are saying, "Hey, if you don't do this, that, or the other thing, now you're going to hell." Which
You
maybe
have you,
maybe
Dave,
that's part of
Dave,
it.
have you ever heard the Jewish one where they say that they are the chosen people?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just another version of that, right?
Man, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm telling you, I think about these things. I think about these things. I don't listen to people on YouTube anymore because I think about these things for myself, Dave.
Well,
And
so do I.
I
But that's what I'm saying.
that's why
Yeah,
well
yeah,
I've thought extensively about this because you know what, I don't want to be misled and
yeah,
I don't want to be misleading people. I do not want to be misleading people.
yeah,
So I am of the view that if I am saying to someone, I want you to join a group that is unique, like the Jews, who they say that they are the special ones, the chosen ones, and everyone else is not. Well, then to join the Christian group and say within that group is the knowledge of the crew. No, because the Muslims that I've met in my lifetime and the other people from different parts of the world who
right,
have
right.
a different faith or whatever, they are equally, as far as I can tell, they are equally God in God's image as I am. So to put anything in my heart that would segregate me from them and make me think that I am somehow better than them and I am more chosen than them.
Yep.
I would say that would put me in a sort of bit of an ego imbalance, and I would. Yeah, I think that's why we probably go to war with them and probably have it Sundays or Saturdays, a sense of snobbishness, and we know something like the brethren or the this or the that. They all know something
I
that
need
other
to.
people
I'm
don't.
gonna have you. Wait. All right. Here's the deal. I'm gonna get you. Where you're gonna come on, and I'm gonna get Isaiah 40:22 to come on with us, and and beginning to see, because he's beginning to see. Are you still here? Hello. Uh oh. I think I might have lost you. I don't know why. Oh, maybe the cat did something. Um. Anyway, I'm gonna get beginning to see and to chat because I'm not like not. I don't. I I don't really want to go into where I'm debating this stuff anyway. So there's that. But I lost Trinity 4. Let me see. Hang on one second here. Let's see if he's. It says, I think. It says he's still here, but I'm not seeing him. Hold on one second. No, I don't want to do that. Alright, hold on. Alright, we've had technical difficulties. I lost Trinity 4 there. Anyhow, I was saying that I should have, I think if uh, beginning to see would come on and Isaiah 40:22 because it would be funny. Those two would be they'd be probably at each other a little bit too. Besides besides working with Trinity 4 too. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I don't think I'm. That's my problem sometimes that I had. I was like, I'm not against people who aren't like into the Bible. Like, I'm just not going to it's like to me, it's like flat Earth. Like either you're going to be drawn to it, or want to be inquisitive about it, or you're not. So, but I will say, man, I think Dave is he's walking the walk, man. In terms of he didn't get a he didn't get his kid with the whole he didn't do the whole birth certificate thing. So that in and of itself is like, oh my gosh, man! Just for him to do that, I remember that was like it was pretty crazy. Like they were like chasing him around. I think for them to do that, um, and so he's not here still. Um, that was pretty cool of him to do that. And so people are everybody like even like I said, Stavely. You know, everyone's they're trying to continue wanting to spread the truth, and they've chosen a subject that is man, this is like I don't know. Even if you're making good quote good money in flat Earth, man, it's not like what you could be making if you were freaking putting on makeup and on a tranny channel. I'm telling you, man, tranny channels. If anybody wants to make money, just videotape yourself putting on makeup and have tranny talk, and I think you'll make a lot of money. That's my recommendation. So, um, I was waiting to see if Dave was coming back. I'm not sure. He said it was getting late. Um, I put in his link to his Patreon is in the whatchamacallit, the chat here. So there's that. I wanted to do I just watched there was a shooting. I don't know if anybody had seen that one, man. I was watching that on YouTube earlier, and at the at a movie theater, which was Corona movie theater, and it was pretty crazy because at the end of it they said, yeah, the parents are going to be looking to have metal detectors installed at movie theaters now. I'm like, oh, okay, there you go. And it looked like the girl was fake crying too, so that was pretty crazy. Um, I don't know what happened to Dave. I might have pushed him too hard with the Bible. He had enough of it, maybe. Oh, Doug's calling me now. Hold on one second. Hey. Yeah, man. He's not on. I'm still on my live stream right now. You want me to put you on speaker? Oh, actually, yeah. Oh, actually, you know what I could do. You know what we'll do is I'll set it up. You know what I'll do? Yeah, no, you know what I'll do is I'll set it up for another time, hopefully. Just because I've been on so long already, I didn't realize it's 4 already. But yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, no, 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 that's cool. I will do that. I'll do that, and then I'll chat with you soon. All right, brother. All right, later. All right, cool. So that was beginning to see. he is like ready to go on there and raring to go, which is cool because I only have so much that I don't even know how to put it. Anyway, guys, thank you for dropping in. It was nice of everyone to hang around, and thanks, Dave, for chatting. I'm sorry that it took me so long to do that. Um, and hopefully I will see you all again soon. Should be posting up my video, the rest of my video from yesterday soon also. So peace, everyone.